At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Al Hartman, Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Amigos Retro Gaming, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Wieseler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Patrick Randolph, Eric Canales, Frodo NL, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, Jenna Farrett, Ken Reichard, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Rick Hewlin, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Richard Lorbieski, Rob Inman, Steve Batson, Stephen Wagner, Terry Steen, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., Tim Limner, and Tony C. Thank you ever so much, patrons.
CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks, grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to CoCoTALK, episode 195. Brand new channels, lots of new stuff to talk about, but we're still coming at you live, and we're talking Coco.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to CoCoTALK Live, episode 195, and we are streaming live on new channels. So there's probably some people right now saying, where the hell are they? They're not on that old YouTube channel. Hey, man, I'm sitting here turning this here knob here, and this doohickey ain't pulling up the feed, man. Hey, honey, jiggle dumb antennas there for us. Yeah, so we are live streaming on a brand new, not always new, but we have a new Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/CoCoTALK. We have moved from the OG Stevie Strow channel back to the IMO Coconut channel on YouTube. So that's youtube.com/IMA Coconut. We're always on Facebook, and we're also on the Twitters and the Snapchats and the Instagrams and the TikToks and the J-Dates and all those other places that you'll find us. But we're here. We are live. Links to the places you can find us live will be in the description of this video, and hopefully the majority of our audience will find us and will come back. We're here. We got a great panel. We've got a hopefully good show for you today. That's still to be determined. But how about we go around the room and say, hey there, hi there, ho there, to the panel, to the Mouseketeers. How about we start in the top left-hand corner with our backup streamer and engineer, a guy we can always count on, Mr. Mark Bosley. Hello, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for always being that reliable rock where we can count on you to keep this train on the tracks at all times.
Did you start the local recording?
I have not started local recordings. It's whatever. It is what it's just whatever. Yeah.
Thanks for coming to rehearsal.
Near the tracks.
Yes. Speaking of backups, right? We have
guys are a hoot.
From Canada, the Great White North, L. Curtis Boyle. How's it going, eh?
Hello, everyone. We did have a bit of a whiteout here. Around the middle of the week, we had not too much snow. It was maybe an inch or two of snow, but we had 110 kilometer an hour winds, about 70 miles an hour. in our area. So we actually had wet, sticky snow making snowballs and blowing it so hard it actually rolled up into large snowballs all over the place. And there was one part just north of Regina that actually had 143 kilometers, which is getting to low-grade hurricane status. So pretty rare for January.
Wow. And there's the news and the weather from L. Curtis Boyle at the tone.
From my helicopter high.
That's right. At the tone, the time will be 2:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a guy whose name is so nice. We must say it thrice. We're talking about, you know him, you love him. And guess what? The new soundboard is not working.
Who the hell are you?
Wow.
Same old CoCoTALK, new channel.
Yes. Well, you know him. His name is Nick Marotta. How you doing there, Nick?
I'm doing great. I'm kind of wondering if people might think the old YouTube channel is better without our content.
This is very strange.
Don't worry. We took all the old technical issues and we moved them to the new channel.
Listen, this never happens. I swear, this never happens. It always works. Thank you for being here, Nick Marotta. We've got a guy who he knows a lot about the CoCo, and he likes to share his knowledge with the newsletter and with his blogs and with his people on Discord. We're talking about none other than Alan Murphy. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Howdy. Doing all right?
We got a guy who's a big fan of toggle switches. He's got a website called CoCoMan.biz. His name is Jason, the CoCoMan Reighard. Welcome to the program, Jason.
Well, hello, Stevie. I'm all ready to go. I've got my magnifier, I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper, and I am set to go.
Well, David Ladd's not here, so let me, in David's absence, Jason, are you excited to be here?
Oh, I'm so excited, Stevie. I've got my high-speed tape drive ready to go.
Ooh. We've got Rick Hewlin in the house. Thanks for being here, Rick.
Howdy, folks. Not excited yet, but I'll work my way into it.
All right. We got a guy who knows a thing or two about hardware, and he likes wires of many colors. It's Paul T. Barton. Hello, Paul.
Hey, there we are.
I like your shirt. I like that 40th anniversary shirt.
Yeah. Yep, I posted a picture up on the Facebook group.
Excellent. All right, we've got our resident Apple guy, none other than Mark Overholzer. Hello, Mark.
Hello, I might be muted.
Okay, yeah, your volume's not bad now. A little echoey, but the volume is good. And Mark is our primary guy for posting the links in the chat. So when we talk about news and you want to get the links to what we're talking about, Mark is our primary, and then we've got a few backups on that. But that's Mark's main job, and we've only had to reprimand him, I think, 3 times this week. So he's pretty reliable. He's reasonably reliable some of the time. And thank you for what little you do for us, Marco. Then we have a guy who gets things on eBay, makes us all jealous, but there's a difference between hoarding and collecting. Collecting is it's all neatly arranged and you know what you have. We're talking about none other than Brian Wieseler. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Stevie. Hello, CoCo community.
Hello, Brian. Thank you for being here. We have a guy who's a big fan of the VCR. Mr. John Lowry's in the house today. Johnny.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
All right. We've got a guy who's so cool. The future's so bright. He's got to wear shades. He's got a garage. He's in Arizona. He's the neighbor of Paul Barton. It's Ron Delvaux.
How you doing?
How you doing, Ronnie? We've got our resident Apple guy, and we've also got our resident Atari guy. He's Sloopy Malibu. Hello, Sloopy.
Greetings and sanitations.
And sanitation's right back to you. We've got a guy who takes live streaming to literal levels. He's been stuck in an elevator. He's none other than Grant Leedy. Welcome, Grant.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Not bad, not bad.
Thankfully, he's not done both of those at the same time.
Yes. We've got a guy who's got more Ferraris than you can shake a stick at. Mr. Trillionaire himself, the CoCo guy, the guy who makes all the games and makes all the money. From down under, Nicholas Marentes. Good eye, Nick.
Good eye, CoCo World.
Good eye to you. Good eye, good eye.
He's the CoCo World's Elon Musk.
Yes, he is. He's Elon Musk. Absolutely. And the guy who literally made my head explode, but he is really good at optimizing all kinds of stuff, and I hear he's a really good dancer, too. Mr. James Diffendeffer's in the house. Hello, James.
Hello, everybody. Just when you thought 2021 wasn't going to be any worse than 2020.
That was just a warm-up.
Oh.
2021 said, hold my beer.
And we are a live and interactive show, and in the live chat, we've got Mikey. He likes it. He likes it. He's watching it. We've got Sloopy Malibu. We've got Dave and Sharon. Mr. Dave is out there. TJB. Chris is out there. Nick Marotta. Kevin Holloway. Curtis Boyle. Canadian Retro Things. Bal Yale. Hello, Bal Yale and CoCoMan and John Lowry. David Craker and Curtis Boyle and Sloopy and VoIP EQ and what the hell does that say? Voppy. I don't know what that says, but you're saying you're watching. Voppy.
Is that like a Voppy drive?
Is that Vopaque? Yeah. Are you like kind of like opaque? It's Vopaque. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but welcome to you, Dave and Sharon, Bally, 8 Bits in the Basement. Jim Rye is out there. And who else? Bally and Nimble and Dave and Sharon, Mark Bosley, David Craker. Hello, everybody. Amigos Retro Gaming has joined us. Hello, Aaron and John and Boat and Brett and everyone else. Hey, guys. So we're here. We've got a show for you in store today, folks. So just to mention again, if you're here watching already, you know what's happening, but we are switching channels. So we will no longer be streaming on the OG Stevie Strow channel. We're streaming on a new dedicated Twitch channel and a new, not necessarily new, but we're going back to the I'm a Coconut YouTube channel for live streams and replays. We're also on Facebook Live, and we're available as an audio and video podcast. We're also available to have David Ladd come to your house and give you a hug if you so desire. So we will get later into the program. We'll get into project updates and acquisitions. We'll talk about news. But first, everyone's favorite segment is a new CoCo Thoughts from Samuel Gimes, which is a segue into Nick Marotta's favorite part of the show, which is the High Score Challenge Game On Results segment. You know what? I'm having a serious problem with my Stream Deck right now. Let me try to oh, you know what? It's not working. That's probably why my soundboard wasn't working either. Let me see if I can get Stream Deck back up here.
The first step admitting is that you have a problem. That's
the
first step.
That is the first step. So let's try this real quick, Ian. Just for a sound check here. All right. The reason why the button wasn't working is the software wasn't running. All right. So the lights were on, but nobody was home. So we're going to move on into the Game On segment of the show where we talk about what game we played last week, what the results were for those who played, and we will start off with a brand new CoCo Thoughts by the deep thinker himself, Mr. Samuel Gimes. Enjoy, everybody.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes.
No worry about copyright strikes here.
I saw him squatting there by my outdoor privy. I knew he didn't drink just too much iced tea. His urge was growing strong. Things could go really wrong. And I could tell it wouldn't be long till he took my prize tissue. And I could tell it wouldn't be long, it would be worse than a coup. Singing, I need my TV. So put another roll in the outhouse, baby. I need
Oh, God.
He grimaced, so I lined up and prepared my aim. It don't matter, TP thieves are all the same. I shot him in the dome, and his life was blown. And next I was moving on to get a new sheep thief. I know what's going on, Mr. Whipple loves me. Saying, I need my TP to put another roll in the outhouse, baby. I need my TP. Don't come and take it now or I'll shoot thee.
Somebody buy that man an auto tune.
Oh, my God. I don't know. Samuel Gimes. Just when you think Samuel Gimes.
For the CoCoTALK Oscar of the Year, I have to say.
Oh, my God.
Is it me, or was that CoCo Thoughts just a little crappy.
Let's go to our resident music critic, Ron Delvaux. What'd you think of that song there? Oh my God, that is awesome. Samuel Gimes.
Childish.
It was childish.
Yes.
Mission accomplished. Right?
My
Is
ears
there
are
any
bleeding.
gasoline you'd like to throw in any fires while we're at it?
When do you get a Mr. Whipple? When can you squeeze in a Mr. Whipple reference in the 21st century?
The kids love Mr. Whipple.
Oh my
Give that
God.
man a dumpster and matches.
The kids are always talking about Mr. Whipple these days. So it's relevant, timely, beautiful.
I need a deep breath. Oh my God, that was awesome. I literally.
You never know.
That is the best gameplay documentary I've ever seen.
All right, Stevie, breathe.
I literally have tears in the corners of my eyes, and they're tears of happiness. Of all, it's joy.
Never know which way he's going to go.
You never know.
The chat room is
Happiness
reacting
or
basically
pain,
the
I'm
same
not
way
sure,
too.
man.
So
In the chat room, yes. So we have Amigos says okay. So Bally Alley says, now that is a song, and Amigo says that was gold, and Sloopy says it's double platinum, and we have Amazing from Digital Bytes. David Craker says another classic, and that was a thing. So yes, great job, Samuel Gimes. So
that's definitely a thing.
That was definitely 2-ply deluxe.
2-ply deluxe. That is. All right, so that is just a segue. That's the appetizer. But how do we follow that? We're going to follow that right now with the Game On results with everyone's favorite segment host, Mr. Nick Marotta.
All right, welcome to another week of results. This week we played Outhouse with 24 scores submitted. Adam Tandy Dragon Guy, 470. R. Ellen Murphy, 550.
Woohoo!
Boat of Car, 2,170. Joshua Craker, 3,364. Marcy, 4,090. Cat Lord, 4,200. Sloopy Malibu, 4,416. CoCoMan, 4,484. David Ladd, 5,030. Mr. Dave, 5,694. Jim Rice, 6,464. 8 Bits in the Basement, 8,154. Nathan, 10,108. Louis, 10,732. Tom C, 10,776. Canadian Retro Things, 15,998. Me, 17,621. Frodo NL, 22,054. Flutterball, 23,534. AC's 8-Bit Zone, 26,127. Buck Owens, 37,378. Tasman, 38,174. L. Curtis Boyle, 46,277. And the number one score this week belongs to David Craker with 51,910. Excellent score. Thank you to all of this week's participants.
Ooh, David Craker. Coming at you. Coming in at number one on the top 10 countdown. Oh,
he also
man.
mentions that even his wife was laughing during the Samuel Gimes song.
Someone's wife watches this show.
Okay, Stevie, can I share?
Wait just real quick before we do that. Since David Craker mentioned that his wife laughed, I just want to say this.
With rising entertainment costs, that's a real bargain.
All right, go ahead, Nick Marotta. Take it away.
Thank you. All right, so you should see my screen.
Yes, we do.
All right. So we actually had a couple of late submissions. One because he was too proud to submit his score until it was a certain level. I'm not sure what that was. And one just because. So I will post this updated version. We actually had Brian Wieseler join us. And we had Aaron from Eagles Retro Games join us.
Excellent.
So this will be the list that goes up on the website. The cutoff is really for me to make the video, but if any scores come straggling in, I will try and add them to the list. And one thing I really liked this week, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had a number of family members join us this week. We had 3 sons.
That's awesome.
Joshua Craker, Nathan, and Louis. And we also had Marcy, who is AC's wife, join us. So this was a big week for family participation, which we really enjoy when families get together and enjoy the game. So thank you very much for all the family members who joined us this week.
Before you go on, Nick, maybe we should mention to maybe people who are new to seeing this that we are going to, like for today, we're going to announce next week's game. And then people have all week to play their game and submit their scores in our Discord channel. When is your preferred cutoff for the submissions so you can record your results video? That is Friday night?
Make the video to make it into the video Friday night at 9:00. And if you want to submit score Eastern, yes, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then any scores after that, like I said, that's come in, I will add to the list, but you just won't make the video. But so 9:00 Eastern to make it into the results.
Yeah, because we've got to really whip up some Hollywood magic to get that video going, and so there's time and money and expenses, and there's
catering.
You
know,
the special effects budget is
just
insane.
So
we have to send that off to Industrial Light and Magic.
That's it. Yes, the team at ILM. Okay, ILM did not endorse that statement by any means. So cool.
So here's scores from back in the day. From Rainbow Magazine. I will report the news and not objectify, so you can decide for yourselves whether you think that's a reasonable score or not.
Okay, Rosalie
congratulations, Rosalie Siclari from Staten Island.
Staten.
I think these are legit. I have seen people in our CoCo Club that used to regularly score in the 6 digits.
I believe it could be done. I do. I don't think these are too outrageous. So here's part of an ad, which also includes a quote from Hot Coco saying, "I was totally taken by its originality, its outstanding graphics, its delightful sound effects, and most of all by its brilliant playability. You control a spaceship that guards the outhouse, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, it really is one of the very best I've seen." So got a glowing review from Hot Coco, and they quoted that in their ad.
Yeah, and Marty Goodman in particular, who's not normally known as being a game player, so that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, Bally Alley is asking, how were these scores quantified? Were photos sent in, or they just write it in?
You could take a photo of your screen.
I'm talking about back in the day for the Rainbow.
Oh, you just
no, it was more the trust system back in the day.
It was on the Honor system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you had any Honor and you told the truth. Okay.
I know from the ones I submitted, I just sent them a letter.
So because what would you have had to have done? You would either have had to take a Polaroid, or take a picture on film and have it developed to mail in the photo. So that would have been a little bit of a process. So I guess you just wrote in and said, "Hey, my name is Bob and my score is 6 trillion," and I did it. Honest, right? So
I'm pretty sure that's what I did that one time.
Jim Rice says anyone who scored 500K in this game is likely a TP hoarder in 2020.
Exactly. It gave them valuable life skills.
That was part of their training.
Yes.
So here's the review from Rainbow.
Okay.
And it got favorable reviews. It's a winner, 4 stars.
Okay.
Pure genius in presentation. I didn't like the darn packet. I didn't read this before. The only complaint I had was the darn package didn't have a hole in it, so I could put it on the pegboard hook. Okay.
Wow, really?
That's
it's probably worth noting, too, that this game was originally on the TRS-80 computer, the black and white one. So now we call that the Model 1 or Model 3 or Model 4. But the original monochromatic TRS-80 computer was the first version of this game based on everyone's favorite processor, the Z80. And so is this the Cornsoft group that did this, Curtis?
No, Computer Shack.
Computer Shack, yeah. Okay. So they ported their TRS-80 version to the CoCo, obviously adding more color and sound and more animation and whatnot. But yeah, similar to like Sea Dragon, which was first on the TRS-80. This is...
yeah, and that was ported to multiple platforms, the Atari 400, 800, the Apple II, the CoCo.
But other than the TRS-80 monochrome line and the color computer, does anybody know, did Outhouse make it to any other platform?
Made it to Windows.
Made it to Windows? Well, that's where now it is because of Erico.
Yeah, the modern.
Back in the day.
That reminds me. That's a good. Thank you for that, Alan. Because the top 4 winners will be notified by Erico. You've received a key for the Windows version of Outhouse.
That's right.
So Erico or probably Erico, but it could be me, will be contacting you through Discord to give you keys for the Windows version of Outhouse that Erico wrote a few months ago.
I
So
would
he
mention
don't-
too
he
in the
don't
chat,
advise.
it's either, I'm not sure if it's John or if it's Aaron, but they said the Tier City version 1 they think is even better than the
Really?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, which is interesting.
And then Voppy EQ says, when I listed in Rainbow for Tetris, it was based solely on a letter, but it was a legit score. Tell us how to pronounce your name, because I don't want to butcher it. I can only guess on how to pronounce your name. Yes.
Just tell him like it's spelled.
Yeah.
I like Voppy, like it's a Voppy drive.
Yes.
Get to the
So-
chopper.
Again this week, thank you Canadian Retro Things for your gameplay video. If you guys haven't checked out his channel on YouTube, Canadian Retro Things, I suggest you do. He has a lot of CoCo content besides gameplay, and he does some interesting experiments, and he has other retro things as well. So thank you Canadian Retro Things for providing gameplay videos for us.
What country is he based out of?
Canadian Retro Things, Albania.
Albania, okay.
Yes.
All
I
right.
think I went to high school with an Albania.
So yeah, I really like this game. It was a lot of fun to pick up and play. I'd be interested to hear any strategies you guys came up with to get the high score. I'll tell you one I did was I'd hang out when the zappers started coming down. I'd hang out in the left top corner and zap the zappers right away to get rid of them quickly. And then I'd also reach back and zap the crushers that came down from here. You'll see those a little bit later. Yeah, so those are basically what I try to do, what I did. And I discovered, I didn't know that there were smart bombs until I watched the video on the Canadian Retro. I did not read the manual. Some people did, such as David Ladd wants to remind me. He knew that there were smart bombs.
Yeah, well,
But
actually.
yeah, smart bombs are set off by the number row.
Any number key.
Yeah. So that was something I didn't know until later on in the week.
Now, what was
Because when you're in a panic, you don't want to like take time to try to hunt down the right key. You just want to slam the keyboard on the top row and hit anything.
Right.
And the smart bomb would eradicate everything on the screen and give you the points for them.
No, neat. What was the mechanic, though? Did you have to hold down the button and then move the joystick in the direction you wanted to fire? Or did it just fire in the direction you were facing when you pressed it?
You had to be moving when you fired. That was one little things. So you had to be...
Not quite. You can actually hold down the fire button and rapid fire and just aim the joystick to where
So
you
you
fire.
could kind of like spiral
My
around.
technique is I
didn't
go
know that.
straight above the outhouse. I go down a little bit, and then I just start angling lower left, lower right, and I just keep swapping back and forth to shoot all the guys coming up to the outhouse, and then occasionally fire to the side to take care of the bomb stuff. And for the first 4 or 5 waves, you don't even have to move. You can take care of the whole thing just doing that.
Oh, so you can sit still and fire?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Just
that.
hold the button down, right?
Oh, that changes.
And if you put yourself centered above or a little bit lower than where you start, you can actually just angle your shots lower left, lower right, and just alternate shooting all of the guys trying to steal the toilet paper without even having to chase them down. And then you have a lot more time to react to other
I
things.
knew that. Okay, next week's game is Outhouse. All right? No. Just
I like
kidding.
how we get all these game tips after the challenge is over.
Well,
here's
I
what
mean,
you should have done.
You can continue to play the games even after the
Right.
challenge.
Let me
Part of
tell
the
you
thing
why
of the
you're wrong.
challenge is to produce the games that you may say, hey, I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to my arsenal.
Because honestly, I don't move in the game until almost when the crushers start coming down, to be honest. I usually just go down a little bit and then just start firing the diagonals. Occasionally you have to move around if something, you miss something and it's coming at you at a weird angle. The 2 ships on the side too, they lock onto you, so they'll keep following you if you're moving, but if they lock onto you, you'll get a bit of a warning before they fire. They turn a solid color inside. I
Yeah.
think it's red. So you can kind of use that. Once they lock on, you can move out of their way, and then their shot will just miss you. So if you're getting, a lot of things coming at you at once, and you just can't keep track of everything, just, keep firing, hold your spot. Once they start locking onto you before they turn red, then you move, and then you have some time to buy. And of course, if you get really stuck, obviously hit your smart bomb, which a lot of people miss that opportunity.
Yes. I don't know if there's if any comments in the chat room.
Well, I have to
David
say
Craker
that
said he did the
Tano's-
same as me, which I'm assuming he's talking about that just sit in one spot and just change your angling, firing.
Tano's remake is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised in the original the first time one of the fireballs hits the outhouse. So I wasn't used to that from the Windows version.
Oh, where it completely destroys it in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
In the Windows version, can't you shoot your own outhouse?
Yes.
But you can't do that here. Well, you can't. I mean, nothing happens if you do. which is thank goodness.
Now,
Yeah,
how
so
did
David Craker said he did the same strategy as me. 8-bits in the basement. His son Louis said, "Look, Dad, this is why you're crap," and then he did what I did too.
Oh, nice. Nice use of the word crap too, if
Right.
you did actually say that.
How did he get more toilet paper in his outhouse? Is that when you clear a wave, you get bonus
When you reach a
TP?
certain
No, it's certain points.
score.
Certain
Okay.
scores you get
You get bonus paper.
bonus
But-
rolls, as they're called. Yeah.
But you can only have 250 max.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll get bonus up to 250.
Right. So the
That's it.
number underneath the outhouse is the number of sheets you have on your roll, and you're obviously trying to prevent those from being taken away by these two TP hoarders.
And it looks like the squatter will use between 3 and 6 sheets, I believe.
Yeah, I call them COVID overreactors. I don't call them TP orders. But,
Well, the one guy pulling it out is just being wasteful. Like,
Yeah,
what's the deal? And I have to laugh. One person thought the goal of the game originally was to protect the people so that they could use your outhouse. Which I thought, you know what? In this cruel world, that's a really, really nice way to look at it.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to laugh at that. That was funny.
yeah, I saw that too. That was funny.
So you're basically an interplanetary outhouse defender here. You've decided to come to the planet Earth and just protect this one outhouse's toilet paper.
I'm assuming this alien race is so advanced that excrement actually becomes a fuel for their spaceship. And they're the ultimate in recyclers. That's what I'm
Right.
figuring.
Well, kids love space, so you
Yeah.
gotta get the space angle in there.
That's it.
Well, when you do find yourself in this, situation, you're in a definitely odd situation playing this game.
Did you say urine?
I see what you did there.
This game was way the heck ahead of its time.
I know. It's a lot of foreshadowing going on here, right?
Oh, it's a
my-
really fun game, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. I'm
And,
trying to remember where it was too. There's a good interview with the author of it too, kind of explaining how he came up with it, because it's one of the very few video games he did. He wasn't really a video game programmer at the time.
Well, are you talking about this version or the Model 1
Well,
version?
both, because he did both.
He did both? Okay.
He did help program the CoCo one as well. But
Right.
just coming up with the concept, there's an interview that he did, and I can't remember if it was 80 Micro or what it was. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to find it before the show. But
Yeah.
if you can find it on the web, and if you do search for it, you probably can. It's actually a pretty interesting interview.
Very cool. Good times. Good
But
times.
yeah, the two at the top is the number of smart bombs you have left. So I don't know if I saw that number before I knew there were smart bombs, or obviously I didn't.
I thought that was just some type of cattle or something that was going to come around.
Yeah, the cows that come.
That was how many
And at
steers I
certain
had.
At certain scores, you get bonus men and you get a bonus smart bomb at the same time too, so you can actually build those up as well as your toilet paper bonus rolls.
Yeah.
And David Craker says, shoot the stuff in the sky first. Of course, blast the people in between, but you can lose a bit of TP without instantly losing the game.
Yeah.
And then
You
Ken
just
Reichard's
lose-
asking the same question a lot of us did, is there are smart bombs?
Smart bombs, but not smart players.
Yeah.
That's why you have to read the instructions, which I didn't.
Yeah. Or
I
watch.
don't know. I figured that out even back in the day, though, so I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, well, I figure I'll just wait till now, and Curtis can tell me what I did wrong.
And for those of us who are watching us now, because we're on some channels that are new to most of you, please make sure you're subscribing and following and clicking the notification options on the YouTube and Twitch channels. So this show has its regular schedule of Saturdays at 2 p.m., but we also do a lot of spontaneous stuff, gameplays and live streams and interviews and other things like that too. So to get notified, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notify button.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's right, whatever it's called, yes.
The Crushers, Buck Owens affectionately referred to as the birthday cake.
The birthday cake.
So,
I really like the P mode switches whenever it tries to do effects or the smart bombs and stuff.
Right.
It was neat to see that, they were trying to use as much of the CoCo as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a common thing, is that the only way to make them, make a visual change on the screen was to do something like that, But it's cool. And in this case here, I think they switched to the one that had the white border too, so it wasn't like going from like black and white to a green screen or something, So it did look like a little quick palette hack going on there.
See, he does it the way I did. He does this little figure eights because I didn't know you could stop and shoot. So I would do these figure eights and shoot left, right, left, right, left, right.
Yeah. Occasionally, if you miss one, you do have to do this, but yeah, it's much easier just to hold down the fire button and just keep firing lower left, lower right, lower left, lower right.
I don't know if I don't mention this during the introduction of the game last week, but analog joystick is definitely your friend in this game.
Yeah. Okay, what's that thing on the top there? Is that what he's calling the birthday cake?
The
'Cause
birthday
it's got the
cake,
layers.
yeah, the 3 layers. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Really, they're called crushers, I believe.
Okay.
It's a wedding cake, basically. It's coming to crush your dreams. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Now, is it just me, as you're looking at the guys walking, do they look like they're wearing like karate gis, like they're martial artists?
I think they're fans of Rush during the kimono period.
Yeah,
Well, right off screen is where the dojo is, right?
Yeah, right. So,
So can those zappers shoot the house if they get too low?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought I had my outhouse blown up a couple times by those zappers.
I can't remember.
And then
if they did or
game's
not.
over.
I think if you go down low enough, they might, and they shoot at it, they might.
Yeah, but the whole thing crumble and blow up and game over. Doesn't matter how many lives I have.
James
the outhouse
Jones
gets
is
blown
here.
up by the lasers. You're done.
Yeah.
What happens when the outhouse gets hit? Oh, you lose. Do you lose your life or is the game over? No, you lose a life, right?
If the outhouse gets destroyed.
Yeah, you just lose your life. You lose a man. I don't think you lose the game.
Do you lose a game? I thought you did lose a game.
You lose the whole game? I can't remember.
I thought
I tried to
as soon as
avoid
the
that, so
outhouse
I'm not
was,
sure.
As soon as I've had this happen several times. As soon as the outhouse was destroyed, game was over.
Game over. I think you're right.
It didn't matter how many lives I had. I guess if I was out my outhouse, I was up the creek without the proverbial paddle, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, what happens when the outhouse gets full was the question. Oh. Well,
that's when the little truck shows up.
Thanks, David, for that question, David Craker.
we have a couple people in chat, Aaron and Bally Alley, both mentioning at times it reminds them of the landing levels of Cosmic Arc. Even the zappers on the sides of the screen are sort of the same.
And Ken at Canadian Retro Things is also saying you cannot crash into your outhouse because that would cause you to lose a life, right? So that's an obstacle you have to avoid.
Oh, interesting. I've never,
And I'm with David Craker in this one. Deluxe joystick was essential for me because the short stick for quick repeated direction changes and the self-centering, that is come in handy for me too as well.
Fun game. Yeah, pretty original when you think about it. The game itself, when you think about the concept, the game itself is a little bit,
ridiculous?
Juvenile. the whole concept of defending toilet paper. So.
Perfect for this audience.
Yeah.
Somebody's spouse laughed at him. Somebody's spouse laughed at him when he told him the premise of the game. I can't remember who that was. Might have been Sloopy, maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, somebody's spouse laughed or girlfriend laughed at him when he explained what game we were playing. So we may be mocked, but we'll never stop.
Yeah, David Craker saying if you lose the outhouse, the game is over. There's only one outhouse. Okay. So.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the whole game. It's just crap.
Yeah. Good times though. That's great.
Lots of fun.
I like the animation difference between squatters and the toilet paper hoarders because the one guy really has to go and you can kind of see him hopping to get there fast, and the other guy gets the toilet paper stuck in his shoe, and
I think Sloopy was trying to say something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe this is why we have indoor plumbing now, so people don't attack our outhouses.
Yeah, I don't know what world it is where toilet paper is in such short supply, but...
In a world where toilet paper is in short supply and aliens are floating above your outhouse.
And Nick Marotta it might have been Ken from Canadian Retro Things that mentioned that comment about the family because he said my entire family laughed at me when I told them.
In his video, he said that, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay, I
think you're right.
I'm just wondering if the aliens are actually trying to defend the outhouse because they now have COVID on their world and they're trying to avoid the same shortages we had here.
It could be.
All right, so you ready to talk about next week's game?
Yeah. So just real quick, too, because I think we do have a few new viewers today. So I just want to remind or inform some of you who have maybe not seen this segment or this show before. So the Game On Challenge is something where we get together and we pick, or Nick Marotta picks a new game each week. And then those who want to play along, they'll play that game. And you can play it on a real CoCo. You can play it on an emulator. And then what we're asking people to do is to take a screenshot or take a picture with your phone and post that in our Discord server. There's a link to that in this video too. And
Game on
just
Challenge channel.
the Game on Challenge channel, and just show us that you're playing. And the main focus of this is to get people using their CoCo and just having fun. There is, we will recognize the best scores, but even if you're not a good gamer, just play to have fun. And as we're seeing here, we got family playing and all kinds of stuff like that. So this is a segment that's going on a year now.
Yeah,
suggested by Mr. Dave. Mr. Dave 6309 suggested this, and
thanks, Mr. Dave.
And it's been a lot of fun. Just playing games that you might not have played before, and then getting a lot of people playing together and kind of sharing the experience. So it's a great.
I also do take suggestions. In fact, our game next week is a requested game, and I also keep a list of all the games we've already played. I keep that current in the Discord channel. It's as a pinned post, so we don't want to revisit games quite yet. So, but if you have a suggestion for a game, send me a direct message in Discord, and I will add that to the list. And I love to take suggestions because that way I know we're picking games that the people want to play.
No,
so,
okay.
Well, plus it gets you a chance to try some games even you haven't tried.
Exactly.
Nick, too. Like there's been some new ones for you. And there's even one or two that I haven't played before. So
next week is actually one that I haven't played. But it was a request. I checked it out and it looked pretty cool. So we're gonna do that one next week.
All right. And speaking of next week,
so let's talk about that game. So let me just pause this. So I picked a pretty obscure screenshot. Whoops, I did it again. I picked a pretty obscure screenshot. So if you guys can tell me what you think this is. Any
this is Kron.
Oh my gosh, you guys are good. I didn't expect you to get it. Yes.
This is the Light Cycle Arena from Kron.
It is. And then I went to the more obvious ones. Very good.
Tank Maze.
This game was requested by 8-Bits in the Basement. Thank you very much for your request. So yes, this is obviously a Tron clone. It's one of two Tron clones. I played the other one called Electron.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the other one. I played another one called Electron as a kid, but I never played Kron. So there are things that I prefer about this one over the other one in terms of looks, and vice versa. It'll be kind of like the Lancer Buzzard Bait thing.
Let me touch on something real quick too, because one of the things that we are trying not to do, at least in our Discord servers, we're not trying to promote where to get the software. So most of the software has been legitimately made to the public, and we'll specify that. Some of the software falls into that kind of gray area, and we're not going to say, hey, this is the link where you go get the software, because we're not going to directly promote piracy. But obviously you're going to need to get the software from somewhere to play it. But we're not trying to play a guilty party and directing people to those sources. That being said, I do have a copy of both versions of this game, and both of them have some weird features to them where they're not working right with controllers. So I've got versions of Kron and Electron, and both of them have some really screwed up joystick lack of recognitions. So
we need an analog stick for this.
Yes, that much I realize. So off the air and off of Discord, I'll be talking to a few people, asking them where I might be able to obtain said copies of said software that actually work, because the ones I have are do not respond well or at all to joysticks. So So that's all I'm going to say about that. But one of my favorite games in the arcade was Bally's Tron, based on the movie. And of course, very popular and very fun to play on the CoCo. These were both great ports. Tron, it was a video game based on the movie and was basically a series of mini games, right? 4 different mini games. So you had the tank maze, you had the light cycle, which was basically a snake type game. You had to shoot the grid bugs, and then you had the MCP cone, which was just a scrolling version of Breakout that you had to make your way to the top. So a handful of mini games. But the music was awesome in the arcade. The neon lights, the purple lights, the whole thing. It had like a pistol grip, airplane style joystick. This whole
had a spinner.
Yeah, and the spinner wheel. So it was actually, you had the stick and then you had the spinner. So in the arcade, you had to like move his hand to aim it at where you were shooting, and you had to aim the tank and aim the arm for shooting at the bugs. Really cool game, tied into a really cool movie that combined my 2 favorite things in the world: computer programming and video games. And one of the first movies to feature a feature-length film that featured a lot of computer-generated imagery, right? Nowadays, every movie's got CGI, but this one had a lot of CGI, and the theme was, the world inside the computer. So whenever we went into the computer, we were looking at literal computer-generated graphics and stuff. So it was a really cool way they melded the technology and the live action and everything. Cool stuff.
And then there was a sequel called Discs of Tron, which was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that was one they wanted to squeeze in, but they just didn't have time. Interesting slice of trivia, too, is that because this game was being developed while the book was still being worked on and the movie was still being worked on. So the fact that the grid bugs are in the game, they became a real quick anecdote in the movie. It was like, hey, by the way, look down there. There's grid bugs. Who cares, right? Like,
there was a whole section of the movie that was cut out.
So the grid bugs might have played a bigger part in the story, but they didn't. But they're one of the 4 mini games in here.
It's a cool game.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tron nerd. I love this game.
Also, I don't know if this will show up if you put it on the camera on me here.
Oh, I'll stop sharing. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, what are we looking at there, El Curtis? Hold on, let me maximize your video.
So I don't know if you can quite read that, but it says Flynn's Arcade on it.
Oh, okay.
And that's an actual token from the Disneyland Tron thing down in California.
So I'll show you something in a second, but one of the dreams come true for me was when I spent about 3 years working for a company called Digital Domain when they opened up a studio in Florida where I live. And so Digital Domain worked on the sequel to Tron, which was called Tron Legacy. And that was already kind of done before we moved to Florida. But I ended up getting to meet a lot of the people that worked on the visual effects, the producers and a lot of the technical directors and artists and stuff. And so I got to kind of like shake the hands of the guys who did the work. And I actually, when my dad came to visit one time, I had a Blu-ray copy of the movie and I got everybody to sign it like in a silver Sharpie. So it's like, these are like, when you're working with somebody, you don't want to be like, hey dude, can I have your autograph? Cause like, dude, you're my coworker, right? But it's like really cool when you say, hey, my dad, can I get this for my dad? I kind of wish I got one for me too, but I was too proud to do that. But I got my dad an autographed copy of Tron Legacy. That was all done out of Vancouver before we set up the shop in Florida, but a lot of people from LA and Vancouver ended up coming to our studio there. So it was kind of cool to know some of the guys who worked on the new one. And then speaking of show and tell, I'll show you real quick. I've got some of my original Tron action figures. They happen to be right here, so I can grab them real quick. So I'll spotlight myself here for just a second. And I know this is not updates and acquisitions, but these things have been sitting on shelves forever. But these are I think it was Tomy Toys who made these, and they're probably not in focus right now because of my camera. But they're kind of like clear plastic, and they had like this weird paint on them, and they had the little glow-in-the-dark Frisbees. And so I think they made like 4 different figures and a couple of different color light cycles. And so these are like actual things I had from back in the day that I've just managed to hold on to. There's not too many things I still have from back in the day, but this happens to be one of them. I wish I had kept all my original Kenner Star Wars figures I had as a kid, because those things would be worth a freaking boatload right now, but I got a couple of those. I think they've actually been reproduced in recent years too. There's been reproduction versions of the Tomy Toys. What do you got there? You got a Lego. Jason's got
I
a
have
Lego.
something from back in the day. I have this red Lego brick.
Ooh, man, am I jealous. So.
Memories. I'll tell you what. The memories.
Oh, yeah.
Memories of using them or memories of stepping on them?
So we probably went a little off, maybe a lot off, but it's all Tron related, and it's a nice geeky opportunity here. So do you need to share again, Nick Marotta?
No, I think I'm done. Thank you guys for another good week.
What you mean? No.
And thank you, Stevie, and thank you.
All right, so we'll continue the Game On segment with some Game On news with everyone's favorite foreign correspondent, L. Curtis Boyle. What do we have this week?
I'm a foreign correspondent.
Yes, you're.
Is that like foreign material?
Yes. I have the original album too, the soundtrack of Tron 2 on vinyl.
That was Wendy Williams, wasn't it?
Not Wendy Williams, but
Carlos.
Yes, Walter Carlos that became Wendy Carlos. Yes, Wendy Williams is a talk show host, but close.
You have at least 9 pieces of vinyl.
I have at least 9 pieces of vinyl. Yes.
It's a good game. Kron is actually out of the two.
Can somebody reach out? Can somebody reach out to Ben Drakes? Ben Drakes needs the updated Zoom information. Ben, can you guys reach Ben on Discord or something? Ben Drakes, if you're listening, you're asking if you can join for updates, which will be coming up. Post a message in the CoCoTALK lobby on Discord, and then somebody kindly find him and message him the updated Zoom information, if you don't mind.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. What are we looking at here, L. Curtis Boyle?
Okay, so Alan Huffman has part 4 of his exploring the Atari 2600 adventure game cartridge and the programming inside of it, and is using his CoCo to draw out some of the ROM graphics data to the screen. So in this article, he describes how the graphics were stored, and some are scaled. Like you'll notice the bridge on the upper left corner here is much narrower and taller than it appears in the game. So to compress the graphics, they did them at single width, and then the game itself, while running, would expand it out, which is kind of a cool technique. Of course, you had so much, limited memory on the Atari 2600, both on the ROM and in the actual, console itself as far as RAM goes. So he deploys them in SG4 and P mode 1, etc. So he kind of goes through, how things work. Here's how the data was actually stored.
Wow.
And you can kind of make out the, the chalice and the dragon, and etc.
Or seahorse.
8 pixels wide. Even the bridge and stuff's 8 pixels wide.
Dragon or seahorse, you pick.
we used to call it a duck or something. I think, a demented duck or something. I can't remember what we called it.
Quack, quack.
What the duck?
Beware the ducks.
Yeah, it goes like a deep dive. So here he's doing it in semi-graphics.
That is cool.
So he's got the bat and its 2 different wing displays, and he's got the numbers and the key and the bridge, which of course it gets scaled. But he couldn't create the created by Warren Robinette, so he went into a P mode 1 screen instead, so he could fit that particular graphic.
Okay.
And the way the routine works is if it has a 0 byte stored, that signifies like the end of something. Well, the spaces wouldn't work as spaces because a 0 byte would show up and it would just cut the message off. So he actually had to insert those little weird periods,
which
the
dots.
See in the actual cartridge.
Okay.
So that was his way of getting around his own routine, basically, to do it. So that actually is a graphic in the game. And then he's got his basic program that actually does the conversion and shows how everything's done. So it's a pretty interesting article, both from the point of using a CoCo to actually render the graphics again based on the original ROM cartridge, but also just a good deep dive into the coding of Adventure itself.
Absolutely.
So, interesting article. Definitely go check it out.
Alan Huffman's at it again.
Yeah, he's been busy. Next, and this is another conversion. So Robert Sieg has been doing a ton of MC10 stuff, especially with the 128K cartridge and the new SDC MC10 cartridge as well. So it turns out that Minecraft graphics are stored as 32 by 64 blocks. Now the CoCo and the MC10's native SG4 resolution is the same resolution, just flipped, like XY axis flipped. So ours is 64 by 32. So he used his 256 color BMP converter that he's been showing some of the results of for the last month or two. And he converted one of the Minecraft characters he flipped it sideways so it fit proportionally correctly here on the MC10. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a port of Minecraft to the MC10.
This is what would be known as a skin, right? So your character is basically a block stick figure, and then you can get different skins to put on them to make them look like things. So this is a Minecraft skin that would go on something.
So apparently MC stands for Minecraft.
It's the Minecraft 10, right? So
2D Minecraft coming your way soon.
I don't know if Robert's watching or listening, but I need to reach out to them because this guy, he's been on before, but he's just doing so much crap. We need to get him on. This guy is a machine. You know what I mean? He's doing all kinds of image converting. He's doing like 256 color stuff for the CoCo 3 composite stuff. He's doing MC10 conversions. He is like freaking the Ed Snyder of the digital world, man. He's just cranking out stuff all over the place. He's like another Cylon. So
and even on the MC10, I mean, he's definitely giving Jim Gary a run for his money lately.
Yeah. So Robert, if you're listening, we'd love to get you on, and I'll have to reach out to him. Or actually, Ron Delvaux is our booking agent, so maybe we can get Ron to work on that.
Have a little lunch date.
Yeah, set up some lunch with him, take him out to Applebee's.
You know where he lives?
I don't. Do you?
I don't have a clue.
Are you asking, or is this a surprise?
No, I just wondered.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. But yeah, that would be great. We need to get Robert on and just talk about all the stuff he does. Man, this guy is freaking amazing. So. Cool
I mean,
stuff.
to be honest, and in my case, like I know at the early years of the show here, we used to joke about the MC10 somewhat, because it was the Coco's little brother and not quite compatible, etc. But with some of the hardware additions and some of the software and updated BASIC and everything else I've been doing lately, it's a much more interesting machine, I think, nowadays than it has been in the past. And even for some of us that were kind of curmudgeonly about it originally, it's actually pretty fascinating what we're doing with it now, and it's much easier to use with all these SD card readers and stuff too, extended BASIC with graphics, etc. So it's definitely seeing a resurgence.
Yeah,
faster than a CoCo 2.
Yeah, actually, its BASIC is a little bit faster at the same clock speed.
Yeah,
that is true.
That little test pattern color bars thing I did when I ported it to the MC10, it actually does run a smidge faster.
And then let's not even don't even get me started on all the optimizations that James Differendaffer has done to it. We can we can spend
you want to talk
hours.
about those right now?
Yeah, we can get James started on that though if you want.
But
no,
but James has
not saying anything.
But James has actually tweaked the BASIC and optimized it to where if you were to use his optimized ROM, it would be considerably faster. Like 10 times faster in some cases, James, especially like in the math heavy stuff.
10% to 40%, depending on whether it's normal code or math.
Yeah, I mean that's utterly impressive. So
of course, I still haven't released anything.
Okay.
I'm just waiting on the OS.
Scope creep.
Just waiting on the OS3 release.
Right, OS3, right? So we're almost
James,
there.
Actually, a side question for you: have you been in contact with the people that have been doing the updated MCX BASIC stuff to see if they can incorporate some of your changes as well? Because I mean, they're adding extended BASIC and everything else anyway. So
I've posted a lot of what I did on my blog, so he could read it there. It's like.
Well, I'm just wondering if you guys had thought, or if you'd thought about collaborating with them and getting some of your updates into their updated ROMs, since they're actually putting them out. So.
I haven't.
Okay, there's your answer, Curtis.
Okay.
All right.
I was just curious.
Cool stuff.
Hey, next up. And I just got literally an email while the show was on that there's another update to this. I haven't even had a chance to read it, so I'll take a quick look at it here. But basically, Guillaume's actually done an update to the MNLN, the mainline program for all the Sierra games.
Okay.
Because one of the problems was if you played it with sound, it would basically lock the CoCo up until the song's finished. You couldn't do anything. You just had to wait for it to finish.
Okay.
So he's actually put in a little patch that hotkeys it, so if you hit the space bar, you can abort the music.
Okay.
But that way you can leave the sound effects on.
Okay.
So it's nice because, I mean, the option on the command line is you have a -M for multitask, which basically means all sounds disabled. So basically, you got no sound effects at all. The game becomes a little bit more boring. This way, at least you get both the best worlds because you can, have the sound turned on. There's some shorter sound effects that don't take that much time. But if you do get music, if it's the first time you're playing it, you'll go, I'll listen to this jaunty little tune. And then afterwards, when you get bored with it, you can just hit the space bar to abort it. So I'm just going to quickly check my email here and see what he mentioned his update is.
It would be neat since he has the source code, obviously, for him to do this. If you could somehow get a hold of him, Curtis, speaking of collaborating, and you are the king of optimizations for Nitrous 9 level stuff.
Already on it.
Okay. Sorry about that. So now this is also screaming for sound chip support because it should already be built into the engine. And there are chips that are, like the GMC, which is literally the same sound chip that was in the Tandy 1000. It would be nice as a secondary wish list to have these games play real background music that you don't have to worry about interrupting.
Now, one thing I have to find out, I haven't looked at the sound data files to see whether all of the data for the multi-track is in there and we're just playing the melody voice, or if they stripped it for the CoCo version. I don't know yet. He probably knows better than I do because he's obviously been playing around with it more than I have lately. Anyway, his patch is mentioned as he's managed to get it to avoid unwanted keystrokes. I did notice that because sometimes if you held down the space bar a bit too long, you'd get key repeat firing off and then you'd get a bunch of things happening in the game you didn't want to do. And he's replaced the space bar with the break key on his newest patch.
Okay.
Which is probably a bit better because the space is used more often in the gameplay because you have to actually type commands in. So I will mention too, this patch will be on the upcoming Ease of Use Beta 6, which I'll briefly mention a little bit later.
Nice. I'll just real quick, for me, the Sierra Online games was what caused me to leave the CoCo. because now we had games with 16 color and music and animation, and I didn't know they were on the CoCo, to be honest with you. And if they were and I saw them, I probably would have been really disappointed because they're slower and the music wasn't as good. But seeing the Space Quest and King's Quest on the Tandy 1000, that was like mind-blowing for the time, like 1986, seeing 16 colors and 3-voice music. Coming from the CoCo world, that was literally like a quantum leap in computer gaming. And so I was like, okay, bye-bye CoCo, hello Tandy 1000. And that's what caused me to jump ship, was these type of games here. And these are some of my fondest memories, other than CoCo gamings, are the old Sierra.
One thing that always confused me about the Sierra games for the CoCo, the official releases, which is Lair and King's Quest 3, is that they defaulted the game. Now, the engine is running a bit slower because we're running on a 1.78 megahertz 6809 versus 4.77 or 7 point whatever megahertz Tandy. I can't remember what speed they ran at. But basically they have the default speed not fast. Like there's I think slow, normal, fast, and fastest, and they have it on like the third slowest or second slowest by default. Now you can go change that in the menu, and it's still a bit slower than Tandy.
You used to be able to type in slow or fast or something like that too, couldn't you?
Could be. I always just use the menu because you can bring down the pop-down menu. But I don't know why, knowing that the CoCo would have been slower in the first place because it's just simple speed of the CPU, why they didn't default it to a faster one, because it actually made it look worse than it is.
Yeah. So to me, I think I saw them once or twice when I started dabbling in the CoCo 3 stuff, in the past couple of years, and I was still kind of turned off. That's I just have a certain memory of how things looked and felt and sounded, and CoCo 3 didn't quite deliver, so I never got into the Sierra on the CoCo, but I'm obviously interested now if they're getting optimized and they're going to be on the build and everything else.
Is the Gimme chip going to do any good running this?
What do you mean, Ron?
Horsepower?
Well,
it's running on the Gimme chip. Or do you mean the Gimme X, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I mean, the Gimme X, the new one.
Well, the Gimme X would make the whole computer faster, right? So.
Would it have the horsepower to play this without it worrying?
Yeah, I mean, the Gimme X would add the option of doing 256 color, but because of the way the screens are mapped in, it would be quite a rewrite to get that to work. So you could, I guess, you also have to use the newer engine too. Like this is the old 16 color engine that's being disassembled, etc. And all the games that have been ported have to be compatible with the older 16 color engine. So that's why we've got ports of some of the games and some of the homebrews and stuff too, but you won't get the newest, King's Quest 5 or anything like that, because that was on a completely new engine they did for 256 colors and higher palettes and etc. So we'd have to get that ported over, which is not done, and you'd have some memory issues because we're an 8-bit CPU, and anything that ran that new engine I think was 16-bit or higher for the most part.
Right.
So no.
Well,
I would say probably not. It's probably not impossible. It would be a lot of work.
Okay.
That'd be kind of neat. We had a question to do a how to homebrew an AGI. So yeah, for those who aren't aware, these early games were based on something that was called the AGI, or the Adventure Game Interpreter. And the brilliance behind this is the entire game was basically a set of data files and scripts. And so the game was a set of files, and all you needed was a single binary that spoke the language, and then all the game data would play on given platforms. So they had AGIs for MS-DOS, they had the AGI for the CoCo 3, they had it for a lot of the 16-bit platforms like the Atari ST and the Amiga, and even the Apple II GS. So there were a lot of 8-bit and 16-bit systems that played these games, and they didn't have to rewrite the games. They wrote the games in a clever enough way where the game was written in kind of like a game engine, so to speak, and you just needed to recompile that game engine or that interpreter for the given platform for them to run on. And so that is why we have so many of these games on the CoCo 3, is that the games exist. And as long as we have an interpreter that runs on the CoCo, we can play any game written for the AGI format, the Arcade Adventure Game Interpreter. And Alan was asking, it would be cool to get a demo on how to make an AGI game. They're probably out there on YouTube somewhere.
Like I will mention too the homebrews that have been made. There is a set of a utility suite for Windows that actually lets you script the games, draw the graphics, everything else for the AGI engine. And that's actually a public or a freely available thing for the homebrew games. And that is actually on the Color Computer Archive. So if anybody who's running Windows is interested in making their own game, you can download that that suite of utilities to actually create the games, and they will run with the CoCo engine.
Ah, that's neat. What I liked about these games too was that my first experience was on the Tandy 1000, or it's called the PC Junior, which still did not have sprite hardware. So this was all done in software rendering of the screen. But you had foreground and background, so you could like walk behind a tree. You could like walk semi three-dimensionally, like off into the distance up towards the top. Kind of like a multi-layer thing. You could walk in front of trees, behind trees. So it had this whole multi-layer thing that was actually more advanced than you could get in regular hardware sprites or tile sets and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And the graphics got more advanced over time. A lot of them first just looked like they were drawn with the draw statement and paint statements to get them up on screen, but you had this feeling of immersion where you could be in front of and behind things and deeper into the scene and stuff. So it was a really cool thing for the time. You look at it now, it's like, oh my god, my eyes hurt, but back then this was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So
I remember when they came out on the CoCo, like I think King's Quest 3 actually is the first one that came out, if I remember correctly, and just seeing that level of graphics detail and the multi-layer planes.
Yeah, I think they started off as like a 160 by something resolution, and then they eventually got into the 320 by 240. But originally they were even like 160 pixels wide, which is pretty low res when you think about it.
The CoCo simulates that.
Okay.
The CoCo version actually runs at 320.
Okay.
But it treats it as a 160. So in the 16 color mode, a byte is 2 pixels. So normally if you have to worry about putting stuff behind a tree or something that's partly see-through or something like that, you have to do all this bit masking and stuff here to, that, Stevie, you did on your basic demos when you had your little rocket ship flying around. But you have to do all that masking, which takes extra CPU time. So in order to speed it up on slower 8-bit machines like the CoCo, they just treated it as a 160 screen. So every byte was considered 1 pixel, even though it's technically 2 pixels in that graphics mode. So there's no bit masking. It's just, byte masking. Basically,
Okay.
basically
Gotcha.
this byte is on or it's off on whatever color. And that's all you have to worry about. You don't have to do ands and ors and all this other stuff. So they did that specifically to speed the engine up.
Cool. Be interested to see where the future of these games go on the CoCo.
Yeah, I like. There's a few patches I want to do to it too. Like right now, if you're running it on an older 1 meg machine or older 2 meg upgrades, you need a special patch version, which is currently not compatible with 512K version. So that there's 2 versions floating around. Depending on your machine, you have to pick which one you want to run. I want to fix that. It's also cheating to get that to work by using a lot of self-modifying code, which is one of the reasons you can't run more than one of these at once. So I want to fix that too, just to make it a bit more standard. And then I'm going to optimize it. I did notice there's some 6809 optimizations, not a ton of them, but there's a few I can even do on that. And then obviously a 609 sped up version would help. I mean, running it right now under Nitrous 9 609, you do get native mode, so it is running 10 to 15% faster to begin with, which is a help. But I also want to change it so it defaults to the fastest, so it actually runs more like the Tandy 1000 version out of the box rather than this slowed down version. Like I said, I still don't know why they did that. And then also, as you mentioned, supporting some of the sound cards and seeing we get some of the 3-voice music in there.
Cool.
Okay.
Probably spent longer on that one article than necessary, but that's what we're here for, to report on the news and then discuss as necessary, right? So,
Expand.
Hey, at least it wasn't about the MC10.
I always thought thinking about optimizing the basic for King's Quest. No, never mind. Next up, Sheldon MacDonald, who's been fiddling around with the old semi-graphic stuff here in a semi-language lately, and he's also been doing his semi-language learning series. So he posted a video of what he calls Zelda 1 style scrolling, which is 4-way scrolling. So it's kind of like Rally SG that Nick did. Now, Sheldon's just learning this stuff, so for him it's all new. But he put a video up showing his little scrolling demo here, which I'll play.
did he get Nick Marotta's permission to use semi-graphics? Oh, look at that! Look at that! That is so cool.
I think at this point he's not double buffering yet, but
okay.
It still is running pretty good.
Yeah.
I think what you meant to say is crikey.
Crikey.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So Nick, since you actually just literally did this for Rally SG, any comments on scrolling and stuff? Any tricks, tips?
Not really. Semi-graphics is weirdly mapped, so it does make scrolling it horizontally at a pixel level is a little bit more awkward than trying to do it on a bitmap screen. I don't know if he's scrolling a byte or a pixel at a time on that.
I think he's doing a byte, so 2 pixels at a time.
Yeah, well, a byte's easy enough, but I remember when I tried to do Rally ST, I tried to do a pixel horizontal scroll, which would have made the horizontal scrolling smoother. But because of the way it's mapped and the extra CPU time that it would have taken, it was slowing it down. It was slower to scroll it horizontally than it was vertically. So in
Plus, you
the end,
get the color clash problem too when
you
you're
get
showing
the-
a single
yeah, well,
pixel.
that's
you can
part
pick
of
a
the
color
problem.
and black. That's it.
That's right. You can only have one color plus black per byte. So if you're scrolling horizontally, what happens there is the pixels do merge into the other byte. So then you got a color clash. So it was really awkward. So
To be honest, I wouldn't have bothered myself. I probably would have just went for the 1 byte scroll in the first place.
Well, I did in the end. It was just so slow and so awkward. That's what I did. But my original plan was to try and make it pixel, but unless I did away with a lot of the color, it was very awkward. So anyway.
Okay. And that'll be our segue into Nick has started his next CoCo 3 project, which is this one here. So I will let Nick take it away. If you want me to scroll to certain screenshots or part of the article.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll just talk a bit about it, I suppose. 0 Hour is my latest game idea, and as I mentioned in the on the website, it was time that I got into another game, and you know my desire to buy my 4th Ferrari was high.
Yeah, those Ferraris don't pay for themselves, so
that's right. So I have to get another Ferrari. So I thought, okay, I'll start this year off on a high. After last year's all bad news, I said, well, we're going to have a good year this year. So I thought I'll do a new game. And originally I was going to do Donut Dilemma, my old game, which was only a CoCo 1 and 2 game, which I patched for CoCo 3, but it wasn't really a true CoCo 3 game. So originally I was going to do a Donut Dilemma, just the same game, but using 320 by 200, 16 color, and whatever. But then I thought, gee, I've really been stuck on this Donut Dilemma for so long. I've done versions of this game. I've done conversions of this game. I thought, well, time to give it a break and do something else.
Yeah, because you did Maximite versions, and
I did a version for the Australian Maximite. I did a version
Model 1
for the Model 1 was the first one, so it really starts way back in '83 where I did the Model 1, then I did a CoCo, then I did the CoCo 3 modified version, and I did a Maximite. Anyway, I think it's time to lay it to rest, and I decided no, I won't do another Donut Dilemma. Then I started looking at my Rupert Rhythm, which is what my most hated game, or that I hate the most. And I thought, well, I should really redo that game and just give it the treatment it really needed, because back then that was my first CoCo 3 game. So Rupert Rhythm was my first game where I was still learning. So there's lots of things I could improve on that game. So do I do a Rupert Rhythm? And I almost started a Rupert Rhythm again, but then I thought, nah. And in the end, I decided I'll do a mashup. I'll do something that is similar to Donut Dilemma, but similar to Rupert Rhythm. And for those that remember the Rupert Rhythm game, if you look at the image on the bottom left, it looks very Rupert Rhythm-ish, where you have a screen full of doors, and you pick a door to go to a room. So it's still got very much a lot of the Rupert Rhythm in it, but the game itself is a bit more like Donut Dilemma in that every screen has a machine or something that you have to contend with, dodging things or whatever. So it's got a bit of Donut Dilemma in it as well. And then I tried to give it a bit more of a mission compared to the other two games, whereby, okay, let's make it so you're saving the world from being, well, the city anyway, from getting blown up by an atomic bomb that's been planted in one of the rooms in the main room of the building, which if you look at the bottom left image again, there's another door there in the middle of or just below the center of the screen, that's the door you finally got to get into. But you can't access it until you enter all the other doors and go into those rooms and disable the security systems on each of those rooms. And as you do each room, there's 12 rooms that you got to do. You disable the security system, which eventually will activate that door to go to the main room, which is where the bomb is. And then you've got to disarm the bomb and save the world. And only then will I then be able to afford my next Ferrari. So, yeah, so that's basically it. So at this stage, all I've done is I'm still designing the game. And the first thing I did was to create a level editor in BASIC, whereby I have a set of tiles that I drew up on. I've just got an Amiga that I have been using for years to create tiles. I just draw them up. And then once I've got the tile or tile set created, I can then use this BASIC editor to then just place the tiles on the screen so I can create the levels that I want to do. So there's no code, it's just the graphic design for each of the levels. And then once I've got all the levels planned, then I start the code. But there's a lot of planning to go ahead because I'm trying to make it so it's got a bit of an adventure element whereby you have to enter one room, get something which you then take to another room to access something else to get through that room, and then you can jump out and go back to another room and complete that room. I'm trying to give it a bit of an adventure element as well, whereby you don't just follow it level by level like in Donut Dilemma. You just go linearly through each level. You have to actually move about from room to room, collecting the objects that you need and bringing it back. Similar to a lot of games like Dragon Slayer, yeah. On the CoCo 3, I think it was. So I'm trying to do that, and that's basically what I'm at. I do have an idea to have a nice graphical effect, which I won't say what it will be because I'm still designing it, hoping I can do it. So at the risk of not spreading any vaporware, I won't mention it now, but when I get the test done and I actually can do it, then I'll set up a chapter on my blog page and explain what it is. But,
that's it, Nick. Always leave them wanting more.
Leave them wanting more. Yeah, that's right. Well, basically, I don't want to spread any bullshit at this point. So
yeah, save that for later. I just wanted to mention too, on the Amigos show, Aaron and John mentioned actually your blog here on their Amiga news column, because you mentioned that you're using Brilliance 2 on your Amiga to create the game tiles. So they were thought it was quite cool that you're using one retro machine to fuel another retro machine to making a new game. You know,
well, yeah. Well, I've been using that technique because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I was using an Amiga even back in the 80s. I had an Amiga 1000 back then, and I used that to create the tiles for my early CoCo 3 games then. So, using an Amiga now is really no different. I haven't really changed at all.
Also, want to mention too, 8-Bits in the Basement, who lives in France, mentioned he saw Donut Dilemma on eBay this week for $230 Australian, and I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yes, 100%."
Really? Oh, okay. I better bid on that. No. That's
maybe you should put it back up for sale, I think is what we're saying there, because you can make $230 a copy.
Yeah, I could make it $1 cheaper.
I don't know what fan would want it for that price, but okay.
Was that I'd have to have a look myself, but I know that's been there a long time, so I don't think that's
so it doesn't sell at that price, is what you're saying?
I don't think so. No, you'd be stupid if you.
well, Nick. Now, if someone would want to obtain Donut Dilemma, isn't it a bonus features on one of your recent releases?
Well, I think I do bundle it with a lot of my games for free anyway. So yeah.
And you have your CoCo 3 enhanced one on some of your latest ones.
And you can download that for free as well. So yeah, I don't know what else they're selling on the side with that, but at that price. I'm curious to know if it's an Australian ad, because I know there was one Australian fellow who was trying to sell it at that ludicrous price. And I actually emailed him. I said, "Yeah, you're dreaming." And I should know, I'm the author.
Yeah, Dave and Sharon in the chat say, imagine what Gunstar would sell for this.
I'd have to wait 30 years before it gets to that value. So anyway, but yeah, that's my latest game anyway for now. So
now at this point, because I know Nick Marotta had asked this and a few others did on Facebook when you announced the blog entry, you're not sure at this point if it's going to be 6.809 or 6.39. It depends on the effects you're trying to plan, etc. So
yeah, I will try to make it 6.809. That is my preference, but because I'm utilizing the engine I had in Gunstar, and the reason I do that is because the Gunstar engine was really easy to program. Once you have the engine creating the multi-planar graphics, which Gunstar used, whereby I can have a background plane, I can have a foreground plane, I can have a sprite plane and an overlay plane, and it makes it very easy to do those overlays. Things like on the Amiga, you had that built into hardware. So this is sort of emulating that. And it makes it very easy to do sprites. And the problem with the engine, though, is that it does rely on the ability to copy large blocks of RAM, or essentially the video display, to copy an entire screen from one location to another. And that is time consuming, especially for a little 1.79 megahertz 8-bit computer. So hence why Gunstar had to go to a 6.309 just to get the speed. Now, I'm using a modified Gunstar engine on this in order to try and create a higher resolution, because Gunstar used a lower resolution. By reducing the amount of memory in the game, it allowed those copies to happen a bit quicker. And that was the only way I was able to do Gunstar. So with 0 Hour, I thought I want to do one. I want that engine, but I want it in a high res. But to do that, of course, then I've got that problem where I've got a lot of RAM to copy. So to get around it, I've gone for a resolution which is 256 pixels, a bit lower horizontally, but I do still use the full height 225 scan lines display, although I don't have to copy the part at the very bottom where the control panel is. So I've done that, and also this game doesn't have scrolling on the screen. It's just a static screen, whereas Gunstar, of course, it was scrolling the entire screen, both vertically and horizontally. So there was a bit more RAM to manipulate in Gunstar. So I've done a few simplifications that I'm hoping, and I've done some tests, I'm hoping will give it enough speed so I can incorporate the Gunstar engine on this. And that will allow the sprites to be more easily managed and displayed. I'll be able to create little overlays, and also this special effect that I've got as a guarded secret as well, which I'll explain later on. It allows it to happen as well.
Does that involve Vegemite smearing across the screen at any time?
No Vegemite voodoo in this one. I'm hoping it will look good. If it works, it will look good. So yeah, watch this space. It's something that we've never seen before on the CoCo.
Cool.
So that's a bold statement right there, because we've seen a lot on the CoCo. A lot of it's come from you, no less. But yeah.
That's right. So yeah, I don't want to say anything because it might turn out to be bullshit. But I'm
way to sell it, Nick.
That's right. I'm going to wait and prove it to myself first.
Right.
So far, it's looking like it will happen. But yeah, I'm going to wait and then I'll announce it.
Or later on, we'll have to edit this video with hashtag fake news. So
that's right.
That's awesome.
And
looking
that's
forward
about
to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the start of my my next project. It's a CoCo 3 game. It will require 512K. And I don't know how long it'll take, because CoCo 3 games tend to take a bit longer for me to do than what I did with Pipes and Rally SG, because it's the game's higher res, more complicated than those other games. But I do I do have plans to do another game in between, which hopefully will be another SG graphics game, and hopefully won't take too long. It'll act as a circuit breaker, so that when I'm really tired and burnt out, just when I'm about to say give it up, I'm going to jump to another project, quickly do that, and then when my head is clear, I can return back to 0 Hour and finish it off.
Sounds like another fundraising side project.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's
I need to make a quick mill while I work on my billion-dollar game. Right?
Tires for my Ferraris.
Ferrari prices are going up. I'm paying more than $2 now for a Ferrari from Matchbox. So yeah, I've got to take into account the inflation rate. So
well, just sell one of those donut loaves for $230. You're well on your way.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Well, things are tough all over.
And that's awesome, Nick. I'm definitely looking forward to that. We do have a question from Bally Alley in the live chat on our Twitch channel. He's asking, do homebrew games require extra RAM nowadays? And extra is kind of a loaded question, but 512K is a standard amount of RAM for the CoCo 3. And it was never sold with that much. It's sold with 128K, but it was able to be upgraded to 512, 2 meg, and 8 meg back in the day. And nowadays, 512 and 2 meg boards are $20, $40 to add to the CoCo.
Tandy themselves officially sold 512K upgrades. They didn't go past that, but
we have had some discussions on this. I think it was right around episode 164 where we got into back to the CoCo. If you're new to the CoCo hobby, what do you need to know? And we kind of all agree this is not a 1%er first world stance. It's more of a realistic one. But 512K on a CoCo 3 should be considered the minimum standard, because even games made back in the 90s required 512K. It's not like the uber elite new generation of games need this. That's been a standard for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, as I give you an example, the Sieg games we're discussing, King's Quest 3 and Lurch, those both required 512K back in the day.
Yeah. So.
And there are 512K and 1 meg upgrades modern available currently.
Yeah.
Through multiple
512K
vendors.
and 2 meg, and they're actually quite cheap. So
very inexpensive.
The new generation of hardware upgrades are extremely affordable for the CoCo. It's probably one of the cheapest things to get accessories for in the retro space.
Yeah, I think the last time I checked, I think the 512K, like the Boomerang, the original classic Boomerang 512K is like less than $20.
Yeah, somewhere in the $20 to $30 price range for that with shipping.
And the 2 megs are around, what, 50 or 60?
40 or 50, something like that. Yeah.
It's something you get while you pick up your 6309.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Yep. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely looking
become
forward
part of
to
the 1%, as Nick Marotta calls all of us.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
The Gunstar engine wouldn't work in 128K anyway, so basically the more RAM you've got, the more you can do. So in a lot of games nowadays do that. So
now I will mention, I mean, if you have a 128K, and there's quite a few games that do run in 128K, so if that's all you got right now, there's still lots of stuff you can play around with. But yeah, even back in the day, especially in the later years of the CoCo before Tandy canceled, there was quite a few games requiring 512. Because if you want to do digitized sound effects and stuff, that takes a fair bit of RAM. So a lot of Contras and Pack Dude Monster Maze, Leisure Suit Larry, King's Quest 3, Sinistar, they all required 512K for the extra effects they put in.
Yep. All right, and that's all for me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nick Marentes. Do we have more Game On News, or was that the last of the Game On News, Curtis?
That is the last of the Game On News.
I'm sorry, Nick. What were you going to say, Nick Marentes?
Oh, when you said my name, I said, and you only need to say it twice.
Nick Marentes, right? All right. Well, we are going to take a commercial break before we come back with regular news. News. That was gaming news. So we're going to come back with around the world news from L. Curtis Boyle. And so we're going to leave you with a commercial break. And I am just trying to see what have we not run in a while? Well, actually, we run Fletcher pretty regularly. Since Nick Marentes is here, how about we run a little bit of a Gunstar type spoof commercial here as we take a break, and we'll be back with more CoCo Talk in just about 2 minutes.
And now these messages.
Hello, I'm David Ladd. Thank you for watching.
CoCoTALK, the world's leading live CoCoTALK show.
Good day. This is Nick Marionettes. Crikey. After you buy Gunstar...
Stop right there.
Okay, fine. After you bought Gunstar, go ahead and buy your copy of the Coco Fest edition of
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
It's a quarter of the quality at half the cost.
ESP 8266-01 RS232 TTL Wi-Fi network, 4-pin DIN, Fitbanger, DB9, PC IP, DriveWire.
This portion of CoCoTALK brought to you by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex, thought to help you with your floppy life.
In a world where hard drives rule and floppies are superfluous, one man, one legend, one old fart dared to learn the floppy and took the brunt of jokes. Then all hard drives and SSDs died, but the floppy survived. And the only man who knew floppies became a legend once more. Floppy Life, the David Ladd story. This summer, straight to YouTube.
8-slot MPI, floppy drive, CoCo SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS232 pack, modem pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI. David Ladd. Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Ladd featured exclusively on CoCoTALK for your listening and viewing pleasure. Ooh! Before we get into news, I just figured that this week's Coco Thoughts was so good, and I think James Jones came in a little bit late and said he might have missed it. We'll get into the whole new channel thing a little bit later at the end of the news segment too. But if you're tuning in late and you missed this week's Coco Thoughts with Samuel Gimes, it is kind of like Nick Marotta. It's so nice you must play it thrice, because we might play this a third time later on today. But here, for your viewing and listening pleasure, is an encore presentation of this week's Samuel Gimes Coco Thoughts.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes.
Ow! I saw him squatting there by my outdoor privy. I knew he didn't drink just too much iced tea. His urge was growing strong. Things could go really wrong. And I could tell it wouldn't be long till he took my prize tissue. And I could tell it wouldn't be long, it would be worse than a coup. Singing, I need my TP. So put another roll in the outhouse, baby. I need my TP. Don't come and take it now or I'll shoot thee.
I'll shoot thee.
Ew.
Little Lancer humor there for you, huh?
So I lined up and prepared my aim. It don't matter, TP thieves are all the same. I shot him in the dome and his life was blown. And next I was moving on to get a new sheet thief. I know what's going on, Mr. Whipple loves me.
Mr. Whipple.
Singing, I need my TP. So put another roll in the outhouse, baby. I need my TP. Don't come and take it now or I'll shoot thee.
I'll shoot thee.
Instant classic.
I will shoot thee. And the Bruce Moore says, my wife is laughing her face off at Gimes.
All wives reacted that way to the game this week.
So since we replayed the video, do I need to repeat my corny joke?
Corny jokes not included. All right, are we ready for news with L. Curtis
Quote-unquote
Boyle?
real news.
Yes, and here, first with this professional show, we've got an infographic, and then get ready to share L. Curtis.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
Okay, news flash. It's 2021. The CoCo was made in 1980. Nothing new to talk about. Go home.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, so first step on our news is another MC10 story, which we've been definitely doing more of lately. So Jim McClellan, he's been updating his McDraw, and he's upgraded. I think he did 1.1 last week or 1.2, and now we're up to 2.0. So now he's added block text to the, which he calls alpha type mode. You have to control it to get into it. Then you can do those large letters you see on the screenshot there without you having to actually draw individual points. So this is a graphics editor for Semi-Graphics 4 on the MC10 basically. And he allows you to save it now in a couple different things. You can save it as an independent basic program that generates it, or a binary file you can straight load. You've got the text added.
So that's kind of, basically it's a font. He's added fonts to the semi-graphic
basically.
screen. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
So if you want to do, for example, say an MC10, graphical adventure game in the Semi-Graphics 4, this would be perfect for drawing that kind of stuff. Save them, just load them off, especially with an
SD32, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks similar to what Simon Jonassen and Davey Mitchell have done with their SG Edit, which is a web-based utility for generating this graphics block text mode and saving it out. But this is an actual program running on the MC10 where you can generate the graphics and save them and use them for software productions. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, all for the low price of free, as he states.
Act now
he's
while
got a direct link.
supplies
If you
last.
go to the MC10 group on Facebook, he has the direct link there to his Google Drive that has the download of it. So if you have an MC10, go grab it. Next up, we have Simon, who's been fiddling with doing his little bouncy tours thing on the CoCo 1 and 2. In this case, he's also starting to mix modes. Now, I tried to maximize the video in the lower right corner, but every time it does that full screen thing, which usually does not share properly over.
Right.
So I'll play the little mini version just so you can kind of see an idea of what it's doing. But my apologies for being so slow. But you can see it's actually bouncing into the text mode, and it's got several different graphics modes going across. And
Right, and the thing you've got like the you've got the 4-color set, you've got the monochrome set, you've got the text set, and then the donut is technically overscanned past the border. So you can see where the text is. That's technically where the border ends, and that's where the plottable graphic spaces end. But he's somehow overscanning the screen where he's able to put things visually outside the legal edge of the graphic screen. He's breaking laws here. Breaking the law.
Well, if that's a giant donut, is Angry Angelo at it again?
Yes, there's a dilemma here.
could be. That could be all the flames coming in off the left there. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're mixing 3 different modes here at least.
Did he get permission from me to use that?
Yeah, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. I feel a copyright strike coming on. Wow. No, but
anyway, it involves some tricks between the SAM and the VDG, which is why these tricks do not work in the MC10, because the MC10 does not have a SAM, unfortunately. There are some tricks you can do on the MC10 hardware, but this is not one of the ones you can do. But
mixing modes.
Having the overscan and stuff like that is based on the 2 chips working in conjunction with each other, and some tricks you can do there.
Cool. Simon the Madman Jonassen at it again.
Yeah. Next up, we have another update to the SDCX, and this is actually kind of a reaction to multiple requests from users that got the new version
Snowflakes.
that
Sorry,
just released.
I'm sorry, it's clearing my throat.
Like whiny Australians like Nick Marotta, for example. So basically, he's added a configuration program that allows you to change some of the defaults that the SDC Explorer actually uses. Like restoring your last session, because some people like that feature, some people don't. Having the splash screen at the beginning, whether you want that or not. You want the sorting, because especially if you get larger directories, it takes a little bit of time. So if you really don't care and your disk is organized how you want it, then you can just skip that part. And he's got composite video support now too, because it was getting pretty hard to read with some of the color choices on set up for RGB, but composite on the CoCo 3 in specific.
Right.
So the new version is available at the Color Computer Archive, free download.
Hold that thought for 1 second too, because I'm just playing value added here today, but especially since we have some seemingly new audience members. So if you're not aware, so the CoCo SDC is our, for lack of a better term, is kind of like a multi-cart. If you're used to other vintage systems that have multi-carts that let you use SD cards to run different ROM images, this is similar to a multi-cart, but it emulates a floppy and hard drive controller and lets you load disk images. And so that's what the SDC is. And again, getting back to how the CoCo is one of the cheapest retro machines to get upgrades for, the SDC is probably like $75 with the case or something. It's very reasonably priced. But as a device, you would still have to be familiar with using some commands to mount the image and load the image. So what the SDCX is, the SDC Explorer, is it's basically kind of like a GUI that was created that you can auto boot and you can view directories and just kind of up and down or joystick control and launch your software very quickly and very easily. Recently, right before Christmas, or right towards the end of December, they did a 1.1 update that added a splash screen. That was kind of cool. Hey, here's a really cool, really pretty picture that first loads when the SDC boots up. And apparently, not everybody was happy with that. So we've not only given you the option to maybe turn that off, but there's other tweaks here too. But the SDC Explorer is absolutely free, and it is a must-have with your CoCo SDC, which is a must-have if you have a real CoCo. I have spoken.
Yeah. And just to mention too, in case it's not obvious from the splash screen we're showing here, especially if you're new to the CoCo community, is that the SDC itself, the hardware, and the SDCX program actually run on the CoCo 1 and 2 as well as the 3. So this actually applies to all 3 CoCos.
Right. The only requirement is your CoCo needs to have extended BASIC, and that is true to have any type of disk controller on the CoCo. You can't have stock color BASIC. You need extended BASIC, and then you can run this SDC.
Yeah. But as you mentioned, it's one of the must-haves. I mean,
absolutely.
If you have real hardware, the SDC is probably the, I would say it ranks even higher than RAM, CPU upgrades as far as a must-have upgrade, because this gives you access to all the floppy.
It's second place to real-time clock as far as the most important things to add to your CoCo.
That goes without saying.
Not to mention any particular CoCo 3 video solutions.
Nah. No shameful plugs in this show.
That was just alluded to.
Now, we have a question from Tim Franklin in the chat here. Here's a question. Why do CoCo software writers never put an exit function? We always have to reset or cycle power. I can answer that. Copy protection. So that you couldn't break into the game. Because if you added, so you can clean exit, you could cheat at
save
it,
state, and save memory state,
hack the high score table, whatever else you want to do. So it was some of it. I mean, they put in a reset hook so you could do the switching between artifacting modes, but mainly it was so you make it harder to copy.
Right. Well, the other thing too is even if the program exited quote unquote cleanly, what it left in RAM would be really hard to say. Because I've had where I've gotten out of games, and then you try to run BASIC and you get like out of memory errors and all kinds of other weird stuff like that.
Hooks and pointers
so even if it, for lack of better terms, dropped you back to your DOS prompt and dropped you back to your BASIC, it would not necessarily clean itself out of memory, and that's going to still cause potential problems. So I don't think there is a real super clean way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, some programs did. I mean, some programs that were designed to be ran and then exited and then ran again.
Yeah.
Some of them did. A lot of homemade assembly language games, like the stuff that T&D and Chromaset put out, they would exit and clean up after themselves. But most of the commercial ones, they weren't concerned with that.
Yeah, but especially in the case of games, they were treating it like it was an Atari or a game console where you were going to basically power cycle in between games anyways. That was kind of the mentality and expectations, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, the second game you're loading wouldn't know what the first game had remanipulated everything to be.
And then so he's also asking, can you wipe memory and do a cold boot? There's probably ways you could do that. You could probably run a routine to do an execute that does a restart.
The CoCo 3 has an easy way of doing that. You hold down Control-Alt and you hit the reset button on the back, then you hit the 3 amigos, and then you hit reset again, and that is an actual cold boot. That is actually one of the reasons it's there. The graphics was just to gussy it up a bit.
Right.
The CoCo 1, I think you have to do, poke 113, then hit reset or type exec 40999, but I mean your average beginning user is not going to remember all that crap. So no, on the CoCo 1 and 2, it's not quite as obvious.
Click.
But thanks for those questions, Tim. Next caller, you're on the air.
Next up, we have Alan Huffman once again here, who's just been blogging a storm these last few weeks.
If this was a drinking game, I would be drunk right now for every time you mention Alan Huffman. An MC10 for that.
So this is benchmarking the CoCo keyboard part 6. So this has been an ongoing series where Alan's kind of discovering, you know, how the whole keyboard rollover table and basic works, so you can actually register keys that are being held down as opposed to in key, which means you hit it and then you have to hit it again to get it to repeat the key. So he was getting some strange results, and then he figures out, after going through all this, you know, doing some testing on some of the routines he's been doing for speed, etc. And it turns out, he said, what am I not seeing? Where's my typo? Please help. And then update. I found my typo. It's a stupid one. Do you see what I did wrong? So it's a challenge to the reader now to figure out exactly what is missing in his code. And several people in the chat have already answered that question correctly. But I'm not going to spoil that. So if you guys want to take a bit of a brain teaser there and figure out what exactly Alan did wrong, go to his blog site, do it, and then you can actually post your response down in the comments below. But it's been really interesting watching him go through all this. You know, he actually got basic programs that can register like multiple keys held down simultaneously. You can do key repeat stuff in games and stuff like that too. So it's pretty interesting. Also the differences between the different ROMs too. Next up we have Trey Tomes. Is it Tomes or Tomes? Or I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
Or it could be Tome.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows?
So he put up a screenshot and a GitHub link, and he's reproducing the virtual machine screensaver, which I believe is a Linux screensaver. Is that? I'm not familiar with the screensaver, so I don't really know.
How about those flying toasters?
Yeah, oh yeah, after dark. Oh yeah, flying toasters, a dog pulling the wires from your monitor.
So this one here is a bunch of characters in different colors, which really doesn't show you what the screensaver part of it is, but he did later put up.
Kind of looks like a multicolor matrix.
Yeah. He's got his GitHub projects if you want to see the source and actually how it works and stuff. Oh, here it is. It's a KVM screensaver, originally written in C# OpenTK. So this is what the screensaver looks like in action, because he's actually got some of the animation working here. So actually it's kind of this running cursor that goes over all the text bits. I don't know if it's supposed to change the text underneath or exactly.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not familiar with the screensaver. If any of you Linux people on the panel that are, please let me know.
Okay, that's cool. And so he's created like custom fonts on the CoCo 3 screen, so you've got different foreground and background characters that we don't typically have. So that's kind of cool. It almost looks like a ROM boot screen from a system. You know what I mean? It's like when
like the old arcade games.
Yeah, the old arcade games. You saw a bunch of stuff on the screen when you first power cycled it. So
the font even reminds me of that now that you mention it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's very machine looking, you know.
And then he's another one of the people in the CoCo community recently that's just starting to learn assembly language. So this is his first real assembly language project as well. And like Nick, he's gotten spoiled in 609 because, as he mentions in his comments in the upper right here, he just found out that the 609 doesn't do Inc D or AND D because it's 609.
Ken says it looks like defragging a hard drive too. Yeah, it kind of does.
The old DOS ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a pretty interesting project. So he's been doing his updates there, and like you said, he's sharing the source code on GitHub. So anybody wants to see.
I love seeing people actually do things and making me feel like a bigger underachiever each time I see a new project.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do that on the panel, but that's only once a week. So this is a way to remind you during the week. So.
Nothing like having hundreds of people reminding me how unproductive I am.
Don't worry, we'll keep doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we've got your back there too.
All right.
So. Next up, this is a fellow Australian here, Nick. We featured him during the Septandy, Mr. Lurch's thing. So he'd gotten a CoCo at the time, and he's a hardware tinkerer type person. So in this case, he got a Dragon 32. And unfortunately, the power supply in it's dead. So he decides he needs to obviously replace it so he can get the Dragon running. And he gives a couple at the beginning of the video. He gives a couple of options of different ways you can do it. But one thing he wanted to do that's a bit different, he had a problem with the original Dragon. The power supply is basically inside the machine, and it's a beefier, hotter one than the CoCo had, so it actually heats up the interior quite a bit. So he wanted something where you can make it external, have fuses and stuff on it, so it's not going to accidentally blow something up. So he actually goes through the whole process of building this. And he has to modify the power circuit board inside the Dragon itself, which is what he's doing here, to modify it to get it to work with this new power supply he's doing. And then he goes into the details, and he's adding in all kinds of things and testing. And this is all hardware stuff I don't understand, so I'll let Rick Euland and some of the other hardware wizards here explain all this stuff. But then he ends up building this external power supply, and he makes it into a nice case, and he has fuses and stuff set aside. He wants to make it accessible easily to replace a fuse if there's any problems with it. So the end result is he basically gets it, and it boot up fine. So he went from having no power supply whatsoever to having an external power supply, so the heat's not inside the Dragon, possibly causing early wear of the chips inside from heat. And he's got it fully functioning now. And now he's as he mentioned at the end of the video, he's going to start looking at getting some storage devices to hook up to it. I'm not sure if he's planning on using like a Moo board, or if he's planning on trying to get a real floppy drive running, or what. But I just wanted to give a good shout out to him, because he was actually one of the people that got interested in the CoCo and the Dragon during the Septandi event. And this is his first follow-up with the Dragon since he's finally got it up and running again. Anyway, your hardware types are really like all the details of building the power supply stuff. Another Dragon one here. This is from Hywel Evans on the Dragon group on Facebook. Now, I don't normally mention items that are for sale in the news, but it's not too often you see a Tano Dragon 64 come up for sale in the US. There's no overseas shipping or anything if you want this. And it's actually a fairly complete system, as you can see here. He's got the Dragon itself. He's got the cabling. He's got the actual Dragon joysticks with it. He's got, looks like a SCART adapter here and composite. And he's actually got some of the cassette games here on the original, Dragon UK labeling and cassettes here. So you're getting some of this artwork I keep hyping up, as being superior to the stuff we usually saw in the States. And it's a pretty good collection of games too. So he just announced this, I think, on Thursday evening up for sale. So I'm sure it's still up for sale at this point. So anybody wants to get a Dragon meant for the NTSC market, which is fairly rare, here's your opportunity. I have no idea what this is going to sell for, though.
I really love the artwork on the cassettes. It's just a whole different world from what we had. Like, we had decent packaging on the Tandy cartridges and stuff that Tandy first party releases, but most of the third party was Xeroxed stuff in a baggie,
Yeah. At most, you might get a 2-color label like Tom Mix.
Yeah,
orange,
but the Dragon really excelled in really great artwork and packaging. And the more that we see about these, just the more jealous I get on what we did. I mean, it's the same game. I played the game 100 times, but my God, that artwork is amazing,
And they actually had posters too. They sold posters.
Yeah,
a few of those going on eBay auctions too. So
but the cassettes were so nice because floppies did not exist.
Right.
There's that. Yeah.
But so it adds a collectability to it. Like, I want to collect these tapes not because I care about what's on the tape. I want the packaging. I want the label. I want it. It's the whole thing. It's really cool.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
It was a British thing. I think cassettes were popular on the Commodore 64s and VIC 20s.
Spectrums and
that's the way they
and...
did it in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we got these on the Dragon. But
yeah, no, it's super cool.
But I mean, if you take a look here, like 2 of the games here are from Spectral. That's Planet Invasion and Cosmic Zap. So these are the Dragon ports, quote unquote, of them. But I've seen the original packaging, not in Cosmic Zap's case, but for Planet Invasion, I've seen it. And like you said, it's a Xerox sheet. It might be uncolored paper, and that's just text.
Yeah.
There's no graphics.
It's even got the vintage shag carpet there beneath it too, so you got that going on.
yeah.
The one I found interesting is the upper left one, the Cave Fighter, which is actually a pretty decent Dragon game. Because you can see that's not just a cassette. It's
a little bit of a box, like a clamshell
like a jewel case almost, with
the
cassette holder in it. So
yeah.
And I don't remember seeing that for CoCo games up here at all.
Yeah, it's neat. And then you run into variants where there's different versions of the same cover through the years when it went from Microdeal to someone else or whatever the case may be. There's a Facebook group on there for Microdeal that people are showing their pictures of their different covers. And there could sometimes be like 2 or 3 different versions of the same game's cassette cover. So if you're into collecting and variants, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But it's just kind of cool to see and know that this world has existed all along,
Yeah, I think some of those they did, like originally their first ads would have been for the Dragon 32, then the Dragon 64 came out, and then Tandy in the UK started selling the CoCo as well, so they'd update their packaging to mention that it's compatible with these various systems. But then they said, well, we might as well redo all the artwork too at the same time. So a few of them actually did change the labeling, completely when the newer releases came out, even though the game itself underneath had not changed.
I think the closest we might have gotten to artwork, it might have been in the ads, like the magazine ads. That might have had some
like
fairly,
Spectral and
yeah,
the others did
that might have had
pretty
some
nice
cool
paint
artwork, and sometimes the game didn't always live up to the artwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes.
Now, one other thing he's got with this one here is a thing called Music Master, which I'm not even familiar with. I don't know if anybody in the panel's heard about what this is exactly, but it's a hardware piece, so I don't know if it's like a multi-voice synthesizer
Okay, so
chip.
that looks it looks like it's a cartridge, and then it's got what I'm assuming is like a clip-on microphone, and then I don't know what that ribbon cable would go to.
It goes to the parallel port, I believe.
Oh, are you familiar with this one, Brian?
No, but that looks like the parallel port on the Dragon.
Oh, so the Dragon has like a pin-out connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's like an analog capture thing, possibly.
Yeah, because the Dragon did have real parallel ports on both versions, and I think the Dragon 64 had the real serial port as well.
Cool.
And you can see it's in really good shape too.
Yeah, super clean. That I missed part of this because I had to step out. Is this a U.S. one, or is this
Yes.
this is a Tano?
And it's in the U.S. for sale, so there's
Okay.
no overseas shipping or anything either.
Okay.
And that's kind of a rare thing because the only things I see, I keep seeing the same one pop up on eBay at Tano, and every time it's like $1,000.
And I have a pair of these in the box, the Dragon controllers. These things are neat.
Have you actually tried them? Like, how do they play compared to the Black Beauties?
I don't know that I actually played a game. I think I took them out and wiggled them around and stuff to see what they felt like. I don't think I actually like played with them, but that's on my list.
It's kind of weird because you're holding the stick like this and you're trying to press it.
And
with the
yeah,
button,
so
and
it's
the
like,
joystick
you're
comes
holding the
off there.
stick in the air and you got your thumb beneath where your stick hand is, and it's a whole different.
Usually we're used to using our finger or something like that, or pressing up higher. But yeah.
Yeah, so
And then
this is basically a two-handed joystick because you have to move the joystick with, say, your right hand and then have your thumb on your left hand for the fire
Right.
button, or vice versa, depending which hand you go.
Yeah.
I do
power
notice
supply
that
looks like the
the
UK
stick
though.
part is a lot shorter than the Black Beauty. Is that correct, or is it about the same size?
The square is about the same size as a Black Beauty. And then you got the part that you hold on to there, but it's about like using a Black Beauty joystick.
Okay, so the part that you're holding on to, is that as tall as the Black Beauty, or is it shorter? I can't tell.
It's taller. Well, here, hold on one second.
Brian Wieseler is going to whip
I'll
it
stop
out.
sharing just so we can show Brian's.
Brian's going to whip out his Dragon stick.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Whip this out.
That's
Yes.
right. That's spotlight.
Here you go. Let's see here. There you go.
Okay, that's taller than I thought then. Okay.
Yep. And then let's see here. This would be. There we go.
Comparing the, it is. That's a Black Beauty, the Radio Shack joystick, and there's the
Actually
Dragon
taller,
stick.
Taller,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
If it had a trigger on the bottom, I'd really like that Dragon stick.
Yeah.
And it's free floating, right? It's not self-centering or no option for self-centering?
Nope. It stays wherever you leave it. So, yep.
Okay. It's an interesting
And you can-
design, though, having that whole handle to hold on to as opposed to just, laying it on your desk and hammering on it.
And you can see how easily these things come off. The ones that are on that picture that you're showing there, a lot of times these things are listed and they don't have the little black
Now,
tip
does it
there.
have screw threads, or is it just kind of like friction mounted on there?
Just kind of friction on there. Yeah, it comes off
Okay.
pretty easy. I mean, there is a little bit of a groove right here. I think it's supposed to snap on there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was friction mounted 4
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's kind of frictioned itself loose at this point, huh?
Now it's
So-
frictionless.
Probably.
Yeah.
You could probably 3D print something like that pretty easily too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my first CoCo Fest, Matt Witt, who I met there, had bought like a box of these things, and it was like a dozen new ones in the box. It was like a box of these things, like that when shipped to a warehouse. And so he gave me a pair that were all new in box, and so I still have them. I got them stored away right now.
So that is a SCART on the left, isn't it?
SCART, yeah, that's a SCART. So that would be the video out to SCART. That's like, I guess that's a multi out, right? So that's got, I guess, like your audio and SCART.
Video, I presume, or something,
Yeah. And then same thing here. So this would be your composite. And I'm assuming they're just taking the single sound and just doubling it up to give you, the stereo impression, because it's a mono
That's my
thing.
guess, too.
Yeah. Those are neat cables. I wouldn't mind having, Dragon to SCART cable. That's really cool right there.
Now, Brian, the end of the cable that would go into the Dragon, what connector would that be? It's almost looks like a DIN plug or something.
Yeah, it is. Yep, it's a lot like a DIN plug that's on the back.
It is a DIN plug, from what I understand. It's the same DIN connector that is on the C64 AV cable, but the pinout is different.
But if the video and audio are swapped.
Yeah, but if you get a one that's designed for the Sega Genesis, then that pinout is correct. So if you were looking for a generic Dragon cable, you could order a Sega Genesis AV cable, and that should work.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I was surprised to see the DIN. I thought it would have been an RF or something like that. But
yeah, both of these are regularly available on eBay as new products.
Okay. Good to know. Anyway, I don't know how long that'll last. So
okay.
Okay, next up, speaking of cables, Ken at Canadian Retro Things decided to put up a video to show how his video capture system works, and it's a fairly cheap one. It's not a super expensive one, and he's demonstrated. Well, actually, we saw the demo of Outhouse on it earlier during a Nick Marotta segment. So the video here demonstrates how it works, what cabling he's using, and he's using the CoCo 3 as a sample, though he does use it for various other retros here. So you can see he's got a couple different options. He's got his splitter, which he uses for sound to get it on 2 channels. He's got the standard composite, and then he's got just the 2 composite for like mono audio with video.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got the inputs on his little USB capture adapter on the far left there. So it's a nice compact one. It'd be easy to take to a fest or something.
Yeah.
And the quality from what I've seen on his videos is actually not too bad for composite. And if he has anything further to say, if he's in the chat, he can definitely pipe up. And
I'll just add a little bit to this, because this is a road I've been traveling for years now. I would, number one, like to know what device he has. So the challenge we have with CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 composite out is the output is not necessarily completely standard. So if you get a modern digitizer device that's expecting true signals within spec, you might not even get a picture, or you might get a black and white picture, an out of sync picture, or God knows what. So you need something that's got some tolerance to, what I'll just say, sloppy signals. And so I have tried like brand new modern AV tuners and capture devices that just did not see anything. So I've had to try multiple devices to get ones to do it. Now, the CoCo 3 does have a factory composite output, but again, it's not quite standard. It's not quite up to what the spec should be. It works fine on TVs and things like that because they're not that demanding, but on modern technology trying to interpret that signal, your mileage will vary. And if you have a composite mod on a CoCo 2, which wasn't natively composite, who knows what that is going to be outputting as well, because the composite mods always work on TVs and monitors, but they're not always up to spec for capture devices. So okay, so Ken is saying there's a link to it in the video itself. So it looks like TubeBuddy, Amazon. Okay, so there's an Amazon link to his capture card there. Okay, so that's good to know.
Just for the purposes of having it on this recorded stream here, Ken, what's the name of the? I don't want to click on the Amazon link here, so
okay,
I'm going to post that.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, you do need a handful of adapters and sometimes splitters and accoutrements to do things.
Yeah, and here's a sample like he's capturing it into OBS on his Mac Mini. So
yeah, okay, cool.
And that's basically what the
Not
quality
bad.
is. Now, how does this compare to the quality you were getting when you were trying to do this kind of thing with the stuff?
Well, again, because this is CoCo 3, that's as good as you're going to get. So this is pretty much a pristine capture of the subpar image, because you can see here the text is not that crisp. You know what I mean? It's kind of washed out, right? So the actual capture quality is pristine, but now you're seeing exactly how poor the source of the CoCo 3 output is. It's not that great for text, but it's great for games. So if you're playing a CoCo 1 and 2 game with artifact mode, you won't notice or complain anything. But when you're trying to read the text, this is actually high quality capture of the CoCo 3 composite out. It almost looks like it's upscaling it and adding some fairy dust to it, because it's usually pretty crappy.
And just as a side note, when I was using a very cheap, inexpensive USB composite capture, I had issues where picture would go crazy. And I think it was Tom C who suggested, I put a small capacitor in line, and that helped. But it still was a challenge.
Yeah, and that's just how Tandy chose to create their circuit. It's just it was a good enough circuit
off from the standard.
It was good enough to show up on TVs and monitors, but it's not quite within the standard that that most modern devices won't particularly like. But good job, Ken, and thanks for sharing that for sure, because this question comes up. It's the company is called August, and it's Victor Gamma Bravo 300.
Yeah, and he mentioned it was quite cheap too, like around $50 or something.
Okay,
like that, so.
Very cool.
Before I get on to the last official story here, I'll just mention, because I have it in my notes here, quick update on Ease of Use Beta 601. We're expecting to have that out by the end of next weekend, maybe a little bit earlier, depending. This is mostly bug fixes that have been reported by users over the month, so thanks to everybody that's been reporting stuff, Robert Galt, Rob Inman, Joanne Donaldson, and a few others. So we've been trying to fix, little things. We'll be adding an alternate boot for DriveWire as well, with the RS-232 pack as your driver as opposed to the Bitbanger. So that'll be in there as well. And then we're going to try to sneak a couple other little things in too, which I won't announce now. Because like Nick Marotta, I'm not sure if they'll make it there. That's why I don't want to promise some vaporware. But look for that coming out by next Sunday at the latest.
Yeah. Were you done? Because I stopped your share. I wasn't sure if there's anything else we needed to see.
I got one more.
Oh, you do? Okay, go ahead and share again. Sorry.
Okay. So the last one here is a YouTuber I've not heard of before called Hjalfi. And he posted a couple of videos here about fixing his CGP 115 printer, which is the little color pen plotter printer that Tandy used to sell. And it was actually, specifically made somewhat for the CoCo, because it came out, in the CoCo 1 and 2 days, and actually had, drivers for doing screen dumps and all kinds of things. And in his case here, he'd fixed a few things on it before, and he still couldn't quite get working because some bearings were gone, so it wouldn't move the head, the little cartridge thing back and forth that actually manipulates the pens themselves. So he actually goes through, he got a second one that was in pretty bad shape, but the bearings were good. So he goes through and replaces them all, does some resoldering and stuff too to fix it all up. And then his second video, he actually runs it. Now, a lot of you probably have not seen a fully functioning CGP 115 before, so I thought I'd just play. He plays it in 2 speeds. He plays it regular speed and plays it double speed. I'll just play the first regular speed.
Okay.
So
this is with the 4-color pens?
Yes.
I had one of these for about a week, and then I was like, yeah.
If you see right now, before I start the video here, on the lower left part of the
microphone
itself, you can see that. Sorry?
Is that where like the little lapel mic is that he has there, or?
No, right on the printer itself. I'm talking. You can see the little white cartridge that holds the 4 pens.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
That little bar going across it travels on. So
gotcha.
This will also. I don't know how loud this will be, but it'll remind you how loud this thing was.
We'll turn it up to 11. We want to experience this in full.
Go big or go home.
Come on, yeah.
Let's waste that paper.
Oh, he's putting the pen. Oh, we're loading pens. Oh, it's like a freaking revolver, man. I don't remember that. It's like a revolver. It's like, holy crap, it's a 6-shooter here.
It's a 4-shooter.
4-shooter,
like
anyway.
bullets a little bit, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Bet you this is the guy who's been stealing the toilet paper in that house.
It pulls the.
Oh, it takes it all back.
Wow.
And you notice it feeds bi-directional because it's actually drawing with a pen as opposed to.
It's actually pulling the paper back and going back. That's actually impressive.
Pretty sweet. Till it jams. Like that.
Yeah, because it's all coiled up.
This is actually less annoying than a dot matrix, I think.
What?
What?
I think he's hitting the overload there.
You want me to drop the volume a bit?
No, this is good. We all need to suffer together on this one. So.
It would be louder, but it can't.
Yeah. For those listening later on to the podcast version of the show, we really want them to enjoy this.
This is going to be riveting.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what you've been waiting for.
That's right. This is actually Morse code. There is a secret message in here. So, the Wizard of 100.
The Wizard of Id. I think.
Or id. Okay.
Spelled differently.
IDD. Or okay.
The little Radio Shack logo in the lower right too.
That is honestly the graphical quality of this thing is really good.
Yeah, it was funny because it draws lines by moving the paper, moving the pen back and forth. It's like an Etch-a-Sketch, where you have to draw straight lines.
Yeah.
Which means if you're trying to do a complicated screen dump, it really didn't do that well because the colors wouldn't quite match up and line up properly. But if you're doing vector-based artwork, which is drawing of lines and curves like he did on this demo here, you could draw some really precise stuff with this. I remember Dwayne Downing, him and his brother used to use it for doing electronic schematics. They would draw all the little, graphical images of capacitors and all that kind of stuff very, very well. There was a couple of programs I remember Rainbow and stuff published for doing that, specifically for this printer.
Yeah, this looks a lot cleaner than like what you would get on a raster output from a dot matrix printer for sure. Yeah, this is like
it's kind of like doing a Vectrix.
Yeah, it's kind of like vector versus raster. Yeah, on paper.
Radio Shack sold a plotter printer too that used
a big flatbed one.
Yeah, a flatbed with like magic markers instead of pens.
Yeah, because it would go way off to the side to pick up the next marker, then come back out and have
it would go park the pens and grab other pens and
it was a 6 color too, wasn't it? Or was it still a 4? I can't remember.
I'm thinking 4 in my head, but it may have been 6.
That's really cool. Yeah, I remember I had this for a very brief period of time. I didn't know anything about plotting with it. I just remember trying to print text on it, and I just got really bored real quickly, and it cost so damn much money, I returned it so I could apply that money to something else. So while I was still within my return window, I brought it back pretty quickly.
I remember Dwayne, he used to be our newsletter editor for our CoCo Club, and before he got a full-size printer, he had one of these. And he would actually do 40 columns because you could print 80 or 40 columns on this, even though this is half the width or less than half the width of regular paper. And he would just basically tape 2 columns of it side by side and then Xerox that to create the page. We have these, dual column newsletters.
Say, that logo looks very similar to a Tektronix logo.
If you watch the other video, he does have a Tektronix printing of this, so that is a modified Tektronix logo.
Right, because they used to take this wizard itself and put it right on their circuit boards.
Okay, that's cool.
That is a Tektronix wizard, though, because he has this same image that he shows when he's comparing the printer with the Tektronix logo.
I've seen that lots of times on circuit boards.
I found a picture of that plotter printer. You're right, it was 6 pens. 6 colors.
I like that he's got this like on a drafting table too there too. So the plotter is on an old draftsman type table there on that mat underneath it.
If I remember correctly, either Tandy themselves might have included it, or they might have just had a listing of it. But they actually had that little isometric, like you did in drafting, where you draw the 3 views: the front, the side, the back of something, and then the 3D version of it. Some weird block thing, like you do Industrial Arts or something. But they had a program that actually did that, and that was one of the demos they used on here, was to print one of those out so you can actually see this as your orthogonal versus your isometric view of the same object.
Okay.
Also in the Extend Basic manual too, if I remember.
Very, very cool.
And as Ken can make it, and Canadian Retro Things both mentioned, it's not a TP10 because it makes a lot less noise than this one. That is true. The TP10 is a thermal printer, so it's much quieter. Same size of rolls, but it also had required thermal paper, which was a bit more expensive.
And that must have been that would have had to have been like raster graphics then too. It couldn't really do vector type stuff.
I think so, yeah. If I remember correctly, it's block graphics, dot matrix style printing.
Thermal paper's evil. It erases itself, and
just don't leave them on your desk in front of a sunlit window. That was one big problem with TP10.
Or tape over it with the Scotch tape.
To prevent the heat from
the ink
black.
Erases the print somehow. I had to recreate alternate lines in some basic programs because I had taped the listings into a notebook with Scotch tape.
Bruce Moore is asking if this is a 2-ply roll.
It's toilet paper themed today. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's 2-ply sized. Yeah,
we couldn't have planned this better if we actually planned it.
I have a video of my CGP 115 doing the printing on my Ron's Garage. If you want to see a different version.
What were you printing on yours? Were you just printing like text on yours, or did you graphics?
I had Telerator 80 up, and I printed a file.
Okay, so you're printing the actual text, because the built-in font in here, because it's drawn and not dots, actually is pretty easy on the eyes. Now it's not, you can't make like a thick font per se. It's you know, it's vector. It's like, you know, drawing on a Vectrex screen.
Yeah, it's very draftsman, very like, you know. If
but
you're...
considering how small the paper was here, 80 columns on this was actually surprisingly very readable.
Yeah, it's a plotter. It's considered a plotter.
Yeah.
And it's real ink, so it lives forever.
Cool.
Okay, so that's the last of the video news. So the last part of the news here, I'll just read out a little thing I kind of prepared. And this is ending the news on a bit more of a disappointing note. So Chet Simpson, the author of Digger 3 and many, you know, CoCo classic games, he filed a formal copyright claim on YouTube against CoCoTALK for showing some of his videos in the past few weeks. And those were on my news segments. I'm a bit confused as to why he did that, because they're public videos. I try not to play the whole video. I do want people to go to his page to actually look at his videos. So we play little snippets. Now, there was one exception here this last time, because one of the videos was only like 35 seconds long. So I did play the whole thing of that. But the crux of it is that basically because of the copyright strike against us for that, it can eventually, like if this happened multiple times, this would eventually take the channel like right off. It would be, you know, copy stricken from YouTube type thing, and suspend streaming and all kinds of things. So in order to avoid that, because we don't want you guys to miss our show and miss everything else that we're telling you about on the news and all of our various other segments here, we will be abiding by Chet's wishes and not putting any stuff from his channel that is, you know, his copyright, and this is his right. We won't be putting him onto the channel anymore, because we don't want the rest of the show to go down because of it. So it's a little sad that's happened, but we'll respect his wishes and not show his videos anymore.
All right, how about we take a commercial break, then we'll be back. Maybe have a little bit more discussion about things, and then we'll get into project updates and acquisitions. And let's see what we need when it comes to commercials. We have so many commercials right now to go through. We will, you know what? Ease of use. How about that? A little bit of ease of use, and then we'll be back with more CoCo Talk after these words.
And now, this message.
Hi, it's Chris Boyle, part of the CoCoTALK crew of people.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Noble, co-author of Nitrous 9. You are listening to CoCoTALK Live, the leading live CoCo Talk show.
G'day, mates. This is Nick Marotta, author of such color computer titles as Donut Disaster, Rupert Rhymes, and Rockstar Pilot. And I am here today to tell you about the world's most fabulous operating system, OS 9. OS 9 and its current incarnation, Nitrous 9, is the most advanced operating system ever created. And what makes it so good? Ease of use. I find OS 9 so incredibly intuitive that I haven't once cracked open the user manual, and yet I've been able to create such incredible games faster than the time it takes to sing Waltzing Matilda. Using OS 9, I expect my next game, Funstar, will be done this weekend and distributed exclusively on ROM cartridge. OS 9 forever.
Any resemblance to actual events to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
Hi, this is Max Jackson live from CoCo Fest. And listen to the real game, Stevie Strow.
We're traveling through a dimension both of sound and ideas. We're at a place where the mind can comprehend and devise a solar radio, a wireless transmitter, measure time and light. 65 electronic projects brought to reality with this science fair kit. Astonishing? Perhaps. But you can find it for Christmas for $17.95 in a place that's known as Radio Shack.
Radios, stereos, recorders, everything in sound. A whole new approach. Faster than ever. A window to a world of possibilities. Clear your expectations. Clear your hesitation. Just hit clear.
Download EOU today at lcurtisboyle.com.
Hi, this is Sean Wheatley, and you're listening to CoCo Talk with the original gamer, Stevie Strow.
And we are back. So, yeah, I don't like to, although there have been claims to the contrary that we like to dwell on negativity and start wars and stuff like that. That's not who I'm about, and that's not what this show has ever been about. So I want to just follow up with something that Curtis mentioned. So one of the things that we try to do on this show, especially when it comes to news and providing the news, is to do so with the highest level of journalistic integrity, where we do not put any personal bias. We don't censor things. We don't leave things out. Anything that's going on in the world of the CoCo, we try to cover news from all over the place as basically as just a public service. So this is going to be the first time where we are going to have to censor something or withhold information from the news. And this is the first time in the 4-year history that we're doing it. And we're doing it because basically somebody has made a decision to file this copyright claim against my channel. And whether or not it was against the show or a person on the show, it is actually literally affecting me, because this is a copyright strike on my YouTube channel that I have spent the past 5 years building and providing hopefully quality content for the entertainment of people. And I'm now in YouTube jail. I can't stream on my channel because of this strike. And the strike was just issued, and it wasn't like an email was sent saying, hey, I don't want my stuff on your show, could you take it down? There was no decorum. There was no professional courtesy. It was just like, no, screw you. I'm pressing the button. I'm reporting you. And the YouTube platform, as I'm discovering, is completely creator unfriendly, because I've had my channel for 5 years. I've got 3,000 subscribers. We are doing hours a week. We've got 40,000 hours a month of CoCo Talk that we're providing. And I am now in a situation where I am guilty until proven innocent. So as much as I don't approve of the way this was done by the individual who did it, I'm even more disappointed in YouTube's stance at being completely creator unfriendly and giving me no way to contest this situation. So I am now in a 3-month lockdown from streaming on my own channel because of this one claim. So it is affecting me personally at this point, as it's affecting my YouTube channel personally. So that's the reason why we have switched channels, is because I literally am not capable of streaming. Now, this other channel I've had for a long time, and I actually switched from the I'm a Coconut channel back to the OG Strow channel again, because YouTube keeps changing the playing field. And my original channel was what's known as a YouTube partner, which means I'm eligible for monetizations, which means I could theoretically make money, but I don't get enough views to make money anyways. But if I didn't move CoCo Talk back to that channel, I would have not had the volume of hours per month to even remain a partner. To have the opportunity to make money. And I didn't want to have that opportunity taken away from me. So we moved CoCo Talk back to the OG channel to keep that channel as a YouTube partner. And now, because I can't stream, because I'm in jail for 3 months, I've moved it back. Now, the problem I have, though, is really is a bigger issue. Is I have a problem with YouTube by not giving a creator a chance to defend a claim against them. Our chance, things like that. So that's a whole bigger issue. And so for the main thing I want people to take away from this is I want you guys to know, consider Twitch, the new Twitch channel. And I created a Twitch channel just for this show. So you don't have to watch me playing Minecraft and a bunch of crap like that. It's just going to be CoCo Talk. So there's a Twitch channel for this, and Twitch is live. The most important thing I want everybody to know is we're doing this show for our audience. We're doing this show for the community. So I want to make sure the show is accessible at all times. And we still have like roughly 50 people watching us, even though we've changed channels. So that's a testament to our audience, and I want to thank you guys for doing that. And I want everybody to know that the most important thing about this show is we want to be for the community, we want to be for the audience. So we need to make sure the show is accessible as possible. However, there may come a day where I might just say, screw you, YouTube, I am not using you anymore. I'm not going to do that quickly or harshly. We'll communicate it. But I am considering just abandoning that platform in the future because of just some kind of principal issues. That the creator, I don't have any control over my own content. I don't even have a say. I don't have a chance to dispute things. And they've taken my video away from me. So I have lost content. If I was not in the process of backing up my videos and having videos, I would have lost that 4-hour show because somebody says, you know, somebody's crying wolf. So there's some fundamental things I don't agree with YouTube. For better or for worse, it's convenient for people to watch us live. It's a great way to be found on the internet. However, I'm not saying I will, but I am exploring options. I'm exploring an option to not be dependent on YouTube for the storage of my shows. Because at the end of the day, I want to have creative control. I don't want to have my content taken away from me. And I want to be able to have some like First Amendment rights where I'm not going to, you know, we're not going to cry copyright on things that aren't copyright. And there's just a lot of shenanigans that YouTube pulls. Like when we run our song parodies, we're getting copyright strikes on there's a copyright claim and a copyright strike, right? So a claim basically says this video is not eligible for making money because you're using somebody else's music, but that doesn't affect your channel. So we get copyright claims almost on a weekly basis for a soundbite in the video. And I don't always agree with that, but I'm not going to even fight that battle. I now have a copyright strike that has already put me in jeopardy and is already punishing me from using my channel. And I have a fundamental issue with that. And so I will be looking for ways to make sure that my content is secure and is uncensored and is not able to be taken away from me. Twitch is a streaming service. It's called twitch.tv. There's a link to all of this in there if you read the description. So just know that sometime in the future, I might leave YouTube. I'm not saying I will. I'm not throwing a temper tantrum. I'm not rage quitting. I'm just trying to protect my content and protect what I feel is my freedom as a creator. So I'll be looking for alternatives to that. Twitch is going to be the best way to live stream because Twitch does not really censor their live streams or worry about copyright stuff on the live streams. We are always available as a podcast. You can get us on audio and video podcasts. And that is one of the ways I'm thinking about doing for permanent storage for archiving episodes and how-to videos and gameplay videos is making them available as video podcasts, which can be viewed on iTunes. They can be viewed in a browser just like YouTube. You can go to a web page, click a link, watch the video, and you can even get an app for your mobile device to watch the videos on a mobile device. So I'll be exploring those things, and we'll just whatever. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I don't like having ownership of my own material taken away from me. I don't like being punished for what's not necessarily an actual crime. And those are some of the kind of fundamental issues I have that I will be looking to address. So I want everybody to realize that if you want to watch us live right now, we're always live on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/CoCoTalk Live. We're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/CoCoTalk. We're live right now on a different YouTube channel that nobody's cried copyright on, and that is youtube.com/I'mACoconut. But who knows? Somebody could raise a flag there, and I have no way to defend myself against that too. So the ability for me to keep this second YouTube channel is out of my hands, unfortunately, too. So that's all we'll say about that. But please know, and last but not least, the website, right? CoCoTalk.live and our Discord server. So if you need to know what's going on, if you need to ask a question, if you want to find out what changes, just look in the CoCo Talk lobby on Discord. We'll let you guys know. I mentioned in Discord this week that the channels are changing. I mentioned in Discord this week that we've even changed the Zoom link, right? So you're going to ask a question there, Ron Delvaux? I see a finger moving.
I just have one little question.
Yeah.
you've recorded all this content for all these years and stuff. Where is that content?
The content lives in
on your
YouTube.
machine?
No, because I don't always keep them. I have not been keeping them because they've been stored in YouTube forever. But now that is in potential jeopardy. So that's a whole nother project I have to do, is I have to try to re-download all my content just in case YouTube decides to pull the carpet from underneath me. So I have not been storing every single recording I've ever made.
But you're going to change that from now on, huh?
Yeah. So right now I'm in the process of downloading my YouTube channel, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 terabytes. There's a lot of video out there. So
yeah.
There's a lot of that's lower quality too than what you originally uploaded, because YouTube does a lot of compression and stuff.
Yeah.
So
are you going to get extra hard drives, from the patrons?
No. That's I just a couple of hard drives for me is not that big of a deal. So, but now that we're done with that, we're off the soapbox. It's time to get to project updates and acquisitions. This is where everybody talks about what they've been working on or what they picked up and what not and what have you. This is where the feel-good sharing and caring part of the show comes in. And we do have how about we switch to our special guest who's just joined us. Ben VR Drakes has joined us. And for those who don't know Ben, he's our guy who does virtual reality stuff on Dragon and CoCo games and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Ben, welcome to the program.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. It's great to be back with you. I'm usually in the chat every week talking, but I don't often appear on the panel. So I have a special reason for joining in today, which should I just go straight into, or should I talk about
go ahead.
First,
go ahead.
because
all of the above. All of the above. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm sorry I didn't take part in the Game On challenge. I've been quite busy. As you may know, Virtuix is getting ready to release an updated version of my VR treadmill for consumers called Omni One. It has a few new features, being able to crouch and kneel and jump and have your hands down by your sides. Can you still see me? I'm seeing some sticky notes appear on the screen.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, sorry. That's me doing something. That's me doing something. Don't worry about it.
So I've been, and we're running a sort of fundraising campaign and investment at the same time. So if you completed your paperwork last night, you could get 40% off, as well as getting shares in the company. So I've been really busy just dealing with social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. for the last few days. So I couldn't take part. So what you may notice in the background here is that the arms are missing from my Omni. And that's because I've just completed recently a modification to my Omni, which allows me to demonstrate the features that the Omni One will have. I can now kneel down in the game and have my hands down by my side. And I posted a video playing Cyberpunk 2077. But I do plan on playing some more CoCo and Dragon games as well with it. So that's my project update. Now, as to acquisitions, you may remember I announced back in November that sadly Richard Wadman, one of the designers of the Dragon 32, passed away from COVID, which he contracted in hospital tragically. And today it was quite emotional for me. I was helping next door. He was my next door neighbor, coincidentally, just helping them to sort through some of his belongings. So I now have some of his furniture, in fact, in my room, and also some of his CDs and flash drives and some handwritten notes. So hopefully I will be able to archive anything related to Dragon data that may be amongst these belongings for, preserving his work there. So, yes, and it was quite sad because one of the boxes here, I can show you, is just full of jewel cases. Let's bring that in front of the camera for you to see.
Did he have anything CoCo?
Well, I haven't gone through all these boxes yet. I believe there were some dragons in the loft, but they weren't taken down when I was there, so I'm not quite sure what happened to those. One of my conversations with him, I was led to believe that he may have had some old prototype versions of the Dragon and maybe some unusual motherboards in there. So hopefully those will turn up at some point. But yes, I was just going to say that I can remember my first ever conversation with him, which was about 10 years ago when I first moved in here. He came over to me and said hello and said if I ever needed any jewel cases, CD cases, he had loads of them. And he wasn't lying. Here they are, a whole bunch of. I'm not sure if there are any CDs in this particular box or if they're just jewel cases, but that's one thing. And here I have a bunch of CDs and some flash drives. So I have to go through those.
You never know what you're going to find on any of those too. That's a project right there, going through all that stuff. Yeah.
He did tell me that he used to work for the CIA at one point, so I have to be careful which computer I plug this into. I'm a bit concerned I might accidentally load some advanced malware, which just fries my computer, so I have to be careful there. By the way, I told his widow, Jackie, that I was involved in the Dragon CoCo community and that we have this podcast every Saturday, and she expressed an interest in seeing it if I happen to show any of his things.
Absolutely.
So perhaps the panels could just say a quick hi to Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Sorry for your loss.
Yes, we are.
So I got a few other things. In fact, I got a table lamp. Which has a real-time clock in it.
Oh, how do you like that? I like that.
And I think it's got a little.
Nitrous 9 users are so jealous. Sorry, go ahead.
It's got a CR2032 battery underneath, and when I plugged it in, it came on, and it came on with a little song, Auld Lang Syne, because it defaulted to the first of the year, so that was quite nice. And let's see, I got some cabinets of his and an old surge protector.
Wow.
Battery pack. It's very heavy. And there's another box of CDs over there. But the most exciting thing, I believe, is his handwritten notes, because they're not dated, and I don't know what project he was researching. But he worked in. I struggle with this word, but statistics. That was what he moved
Yes.
moved on to after Dragon Data. Well, that's not quite true. He also, I think he worked briefly for a company that was making touch screens, like very early tablets, and they were telling me that his work on tablet technology filtered down into, I believe, all the modern touchscreen displays that we have today. So that's something I want to look into a bit more. And I have some pictures. I didn't take everything that they showed me. They showed me some old Dragon Data T-shirts.
Oh, neat.
So I'll grab my phone and hopefully I can just hold it up to the screen and show you some of the things that I didn't bring back with me. They had one of those. I don't know if you've seen them.
I know you're on lock code now, so you have to change that.
Pardon?
I know you're on lock code now. You're gonna have to change that.
Oh, no. You didn't see that, did you?
The whole world
the
just
same
saw that,
combination
yeah.
I have on my luggage.
Oh, no. Yeah, I let one of my ex-girlfriends see my unlock code as well. That was a bad idea. I'm just kidding. There was nothing there. So one thing is a recent photograph of Richard, because you may have seen a video of him at the factory in Swansea when he was back in, I think,
right.
Yeah, we played that a few weeks ago. Yeah.
So let's see if I can just hold this up to the. Can you see that?
Code that down
up,
and
up.
Yeah, the light's messing with it. Okay, there you go. A little bit better. A little bit better.
I can turn the light down, I think. Hopefully without opening my cam. Is that any better?
A little bit.
Not too good. Not too good.
Not great.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I'll post it.
If you post them in the Dragon group, we'll show it next week.
There we go.
Yeah, and come back if you can.
I will do. And they showed me one of those little promotional. It's a little fluffy red dragon with the googly eyes. Have you seen those before? They had one of those. But yes, they also had a news clipping of him meeting the Chinese ambassador who was over from China to look at the factories because he wanted to see those.
Wow,
that was nice.
That's impressive.
But, Yes, he has these handwritten notes, and I'm not sure what he was researching, but they seem to be medical journals or research topics, because he's underlined various names of people that seem to be working on various conditions. So just picking out a page here, it's got models of madness, which is an interesting topic. And he has medical, and it says, I won't hold these up to the screen because you probably can't see them anyway, but bacterial/viral, encephalitis, syphilis, injury, trauma to brain.
Oh, that's describing all the ailments the panel has.
Cancer/tumors, cerebral thrombosis. So lots of medical stuff, and I'm really not sure what he was working on, but there are also some formulae here. I will try holding one of these up to the camera, see if you can make that out at all.
Not too clear. Not too clear. Even if it was, I wouldn't understand it anyways. But yeah.
I think that's the recipe for the Colonel's secret herbs and spices.
So it's quite a few pages. I'll show you the stack anyway that I've got here. So these are. I try not to lose the order as well, because they would like to have these back because they're quite precious.
Absolutely.
Handwritten notes. So that's one stack, and then there's this folder also.
Wow.
Is full of handwritten notes, and I haven't read through them yet, so I don't know. But I would like to preserve whatever he was working on, whilst at the same time obviously respecting, the privacy of the family. So
now, what was his position in the Dragon?
Yeah, so I have his business card, and I have some pictures of his other business cards from the companies that he worked for, and technically he is down here as commercial director. But from my conversations with him, he told me that he worked on the hardware, and I think he wrote some of the software that came with the Dragon, maybe the basic compiler, possibly. My memory is not too good, so please don't quote me on that. But he told me a few stories, like how he won an award one time. I think it was a maths or science award, and he met Albert Einstein, and it was something to do with a little plate of chocolates. I think they give that to maybe the recipients, and apparently Einstein had eaten some of the chocolates already. So,
that's a story right there.
Again, don't quote me. Unfortunately, yes. So I was perhaps one of the most interested people that he could have been talking to, because I happen to be a huge fan of the Dragon. It was a total coincidence that I was his next door neighbor. In fact, I was working on a Dragon game from his manual, which came with the Dragon. And then I noticed that his name was very similar to was the same as my next door neighbor's name. So I just asked him over the garden fence while I was hanging out my washing, are you the same Richard Wadman who wrote the manual that came with the Dragon? And he told me that he was. So it was just a very strange coincidence. So, but at the same time, I just have this quite a poor memory. So I did ask him on a couple of occasions if he would join the panel for an interview. I thought it would be wonderful because he was a very intelligent man, extremely well spoken, but also quite a private man, not keen on making public appearances. I think, even though he was very well traveled, he'd been to South Africa, and I think he visited China as well, and Spain. He met the King of Spain. He told me one time. I think that had something to do with the sale of the rights to make the Dragon to Spain.
Wow.
Which some on the panel may know more about than I do.
Eurohard or something like that, was it?
Yes, I think that was it.
Where do you live?
Well, I'm in West Wales, so it's a small country. So I guess the probability wasn't that remote that we'd happen to be living right next to each other. But we had quite a few things in common, an interest in computers and hardware and software. And he was a big movie buff, I could tell, because his office was lined with lots of movies, just row after row of DVDs, and including some Studio Ghibli films. So he must have been an anime fan as well.
Mm.
And yes, I only met him a few times, unfortunately, but I felt like we were kindred spirits who had a few things in common there. And I told his family that because they didn't know this, some of you may have heard that the Dragon 32 is featured a little bit in the sequel to the Ready Player One book, Ready Player Two.
Yes.
Yep.
So hopefully maybe that'll get included in the film adaptation as well. So sadly he passed away just a week before the book was published, so he didn't learn about that, I'm afraid. Yes. So I'm going to be very busy scanning these documents, and if I think anything here is related to his time with Dragon Data, I'll be sure to share that with the Facebook page. And
yeah, and the World of Dragon archive. You want to make sure that they get
Yes.
all the high quality scans and everything. And I don't know if you want to go ahead and also put some on the Color Computer archive. I'm sure they would appreciate having that stuff there too. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, like, it's so ironic and so fortunate that you became a neighbor, but all of us in our lives, even if we're not as, we didn't accomplish as much, but whatever we've done, what is our legacy going to be, and how are we going to, or are we going to be remembered when we're gone? I mean, I don't know how many people think about that, but, just think about, like, especially all of us with our collections, I think we maybe have talked about this or mentioned some articles about this, but when you've got these collections of old stuff, has anybody written a living will for their retro stuff? Like, when I die, who's going to get my CoCos, and where's all my software projects and things like that? I don't know that people think about that. And it's very, very fortunate that you were there and you're taking some responsibility to try to preserve some of this and keep that legacy going. But I think that's a challenge that all of us are facing as we get older, is how do we preserve all of our individual legacies, even if we're not, head of a corporation or anything like that, So luckily you're able to help facilitate some of that. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that with us. And definitely look forward to seeing some of that stuff when it becomes available,
Oh, you're welcome. So if I could make one request, It was my birthday last week. And
we could sing for you.
No,
we want to come back. Stevie,
And
I got the uke.
You got the uke. Well, if you have the uke, I'm not going to say no. I'm just saying no to that.
Be careful what you're asking for.
We get Samuel Gimes on here.
He's one of my favorites of all time. No, so I'm running a Facebook fundraiser for Pandas Pans UK. So I was wondering if I could post a link maybe in the Discord, and perhaps someone could post that in the YouTube.
Yeah, matter of fact, if you want to post it right now in the Zoom chat, I'll post it in the YouTube for you right now.
Okay.
If you're able to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, real quick question too. So you played Cyberpunk.
I did, yes.
And you played that in VR.
I did. I used Vorpex, which is a driver that lets you make it work in the headset.
Yeah.
That's right.
And how was it?
Oh, it was awesome
in
VR.
VR.
Even though I'm running an old rig now, it's about 7 years old, and it's quite a demanding game. It just looked so beautiful, and it performed pretty well, much better than my expectations. And I was getting flashbacks to the times when I've walked through the streets of LA and San Francisco, and it was in the middle of the day, and I didn't have my fan on. So I was getting quite hot. I normally have a fan on when I play. So I was starting to sweat. And I felt like it was the sun beating down on me.
Wow.
It was making me sweat.
Wow.
And it was very hot in LA and San Francisco when I was there.
Yeah.
So I was getting these flashbacks. I felt I could smell the metal and the things around me in the environment.
That's not a far leap for where technology is going to go. We're going to end up being like Ready Player One, where we're going to be in the Matrix before you know it.
Yeah. As Keanu Reeves said, it was breathtaking.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
So I'll post that link, and if I could just explain what Pandas is briefly. So this condition is a misdirected immune response and results in inflammation on a child's brain. In turn, the child quickly begins to exhibit life-changing symptoms such as OCD, anxiety, tics, personality changes, decline in math and handwriting abilities, sensory sensitivities, restrictive eating, and more. So if anyone could chip in a couple of bucks to help me reach my goal, that would be much appreciated. So I'll post the link in the Zoom chat, right?
Yeah, and then I'll post it in the live feed chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stevie. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
Oh, always. Always a pleasure to have you.
Coming on.
Yeah, and hang out.
Great hearing you, Ben.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nico.
Cool. So that was Ben VR Drakes, everybody. Let me go ahead and select. Oh, hold on. How do I get this one link here? Pardon me while I figure out how to copy and paste in real time here, live on the internet. I believe I just did it. I believe I just copied and pasted it. So take a look at that in the live chat.
Awesome.
Let me know how that worked out.
Welcome to Copy and Paste with Stevie Strow.
That's it. That's it. Who else has something to update us on? Uh-oh, I see a hand in the air. Alan Murphy is raising his hand.
But
like
does he
very,
care?
Very polite. Ooh. Ah. Ooh.
So which wood finish did you get?
This is my left-handed custom Gamester in Coco Silver, which was an experiment that Neil and I discussed, and he decided to take it on as a challenge. And this thing is amazing. I love the Coco Silver.
That is cool.
That's awesome. This will become an option that people can request. The left-handed, of course, was already an option, but that is available there. And it came in, and yeah, I get to hook this up and have a really good time.
Have you had a chance to play with it yet?
Silver looks to me. Sorry.
Have you had a chance yet to do any gameplay with it?
No, it just came in.
Oh, it just came in. Okay, yep. I've used mine a couple times. I really do like it. It's not analog, so certain games it won't work well for, but for your left, right, up, down, it's nice.
else? So Brian got one. Somebody else got one recently too. Who else got one of these?
I got one.
Oh, Nick Marotta did too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you got to play Donkey Kong Remix with it, or Donkey Kong Arcade, or Pac-Man Arcade.
I have a question for you, Alan. What's that game on your monitor?
With this one?
Yeah.
That's Brendan's RPG demo for CoCo VGA. So it's a custom CoCo VGA font that is implementing the map of an RPG as an example for, you've got a little house down here in the corner, you got a little castle, another house, little road going on here in a forest, some mountains. So it's just kind of showing off that you can use the CoCo VGA as an adventure game map very easily. I think it's just kind of cool. So
it's kind of like a tile set, basically. It's just by remapping the semi-graphics and text characters.
On demo software site, the font that's used for that, so it's available. You could start prototyping a game, your own RPG with it right now.
Right, and yeah, that's cool. Yeah, again, I see people doing things that make me jealous and remind me of what an underachiever I am. So very, very cool. Hold on, wait. Ron, were you going to ask a question?
It's a good thing it wasn't made by blank.
Okay, so Sloopy is holding. Hold on, Sloopy. Let's get you spotlighted. Okay, Sloopy's holding Sloopy. Something. Sloopy, hang on. Okay, you are spotlighted or spotlit. Sloopy, go ahead.
Yes. My drive wire board I've been talking about for the last months and months. The final revision is finally here, and it is able to be used in both a CoCo 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully this week the remainder of the parts will be coming in, and I will be able to offer them for sale for all the wonderful people who could want one.
Excellent.
As a recap for people who haven't seen it or don't know what it does. What it does is you put it inside your CoCo, and it includes the ROM to allow you to use drive wire without having an additional cartridge or having to load something from the cassette in order to use drive wire.
There you go.
It's kind of like a drive wire boot ROM.
A drive wire boot ROM that piggybacks on the normal ROM socket.
So is it software addressable? So you select it by software, or?
No, it uses a rotary switch to select between 3 different firmwares.
Now that's a pretty cool project.
It can use either the HDB. It can use either the HDB DOS or the YA DOS.
So are you going to have a World National Corporation based where you can buy these things from?
Yes, I will be posting a link. I'll be posting in the CoCo group on Facebook when all the parts are in.
It's a great idea.
Right. Now, so this requires you to have your one of your ROM chips needs to be socketed on the computer for this to work, right? Because it goes in line between the ROM socket and your ROM chip.
Yes, the ROM socket has to be the ROM chip has to be socketed, and then there will be one or two wires to connect to it, depending if you have a 1 or 2 ROM machine. And then another one will go to a line for when it accesses the DOS.
What is the percentage of CoCos that have their ROM socketed versus where you might have to desolder one and put a socket in?
I do not know. I do know that most CoCo 3s are socketed, from what I understand.
Okay.
Ones, from what I understand, are mostly socketed, and 2, it's a mix-up.
Okay. So if you've got a 1 or 3, there's a high probability this is going to work right away. And if you've got a CoCo 2, it depends.
If you have a 1, then yes, it'll work right away. If you have a 3,
right,
you're likely to have to solder, and 2, it's a toss-up.
Oh, I thought you said the 3 was socketed.
No.
Oh, no, it's not socketed.
Most of them are not.
Oh, they are not. Sorry, I misheard
I don't
that.
think anything out of the box on the CoCo 3 is socketed.
Yeah. Okay. So what this does is it's an internal ROM that boots up to a disk ROM that has DriveWire enabled, where you don't need a disk controller, you don't need an SDC. You turn on your CoCo, you're booting into DriveWire, and your cartridge slot is still available where you could use other things like serial ports, things like that, right? So it gives you a self-contained, self-booting DriveWire option, MIDI pack, whatever else, right? So it lets you boot to DriveWire, still keeps your cartridge slot available for a variety of peripherals. However, one of those peripherals cannot be another disk controller, right? Because there's a conflict with other disk controllers or the disk basic.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. But if you do want to use another disk controller or a CoCo SDC, there is a enable disable switch on it, so it's not like you have to remove it to use a disk controller.
All right. But
so is this address such that it has to be in the ROM socket, or can it be in a disk controller ROM socket?
You can put it in the disk controller ROM socket, but there'd be no real point.
Right.
You can just
right. This is meant to not need a disk controller.
Well, the idea being, if you didn't want to solder something in, but you just wanted your DriveWire to work, if you had like a ROM pack,
you can
RS-232 that had a ROM socket in it, could you solder this in there?
Yes, but it wouldn't really be needed because you can just
you can just put HDB DOS on the ROM.
Yeah, you can just put HDB DOS on the ROM and put it in there, and it'll work. This is so that you don't need to use an external cartridge.
I understand. I'm just thinking about people who don't want to solder on their motherboards.
Right. Well,
yeah. I mean, the thing is the only thing you'd have to solder to your motherboard would be an actual socket. So,
I mean, the one advantage of yours versus just a straight ROM replacement in a disk controller is that you have the switch to go between HDB DOS, YA DOS, and regular
DOS.
So you have that as a feature that's not on a standard ROM socket on a disk
yeah,
controller.
because it allows you to use two types of HDB DOS. So if you're on like CoCo 3, you can set it for the CoCo 2 HDB DOS with DriveWire, which allows slower speed so that your machine isn't running in high speed all the time. So when you're like playing games and such, you don't have to worry about doing a low speed poke, so to speak, before you run the game.
Have you thought of a clever name for this product? Well, get a hold of marketing.
I'm not clever. So.
Well, your name's clever. How did you come up with your name, Sloopy?
Basically, in high school, I hung out with 2 other people with the name Chris, which is the unimaginative name my parents gave me, and we needed nicknames. And someone mentioned my similarities to the Sloopy in the song "Hang On Sloopy" by the McCoys, And I says, yeah, but I'm not a girl. And they said, so? You're Sloopy.
All right, there you go. And it's stuck.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
Since I was 14, I've been Sloopy.
Okay. Well, let us know when that's ready, and then we'll post it in Discord and on Facebook, and you can plug it back here in the show again, too. That's pretty cool. So there will be a certain percentage of people who would like that, even though you might even have a way to not need it. You might just want to have it anyways, and there might be some people that say, this is a really cost-effective way for me to get drive wire going and not need a multi-pack and not need an STC and just get me up and running. So it will definitely fill a need for certain individuals, and it's great. And I think we mentioned this before. You're kind of new to the CoCo, and the fact that you're already coming here and you're working on hardware projects and creating a product in a short period of time is kudos to you, sir, and thanks for doing that.
We do have a question for you, Sloopy, from AC's 8-bit zone too. Does the internal drive wire board need to make soldered wired connections to the main board?
On a Color Computer 3 and a Model 2A, it needs to make one connection. On the previous machines, it needs to make two connections.
Okay. So, Alan, hopefully that answers your question.
And you can always ping him on Discord if you need to, because I know AC is out there. Cool.
I have no life, so I'm always on the Discord.
Thank you, Sloopy. Who else had a little show and tell, something to share? Uh-oh, Jason is raising his hand. We're very polite here today on the show with the hand raising.
Oh, I know,
I like
right?
that.
I'm just waving around like I just don't care, right? Just a couple brief little things here. Some of them CoCo, some of them not quite CoCo, but we'll just squeeze those in. First of all, and no shame, attempt at not a shameless plug, but just wanted to update everybody on the Joey High Res, which, again, since we're on a new channel, just to familiarize everyone, this is a joystick or controller switch box for the CoCo. And this particular one, I have one that doesn't have this, but it has 3 inputs. And then this has the option, has a built-in high-res joystick interface. And also features, and you don't have to unplug anything, also features a pass-through if you want to plug your cassette recorder into that. And also, like the previous version, lets you switch between the left and right joystick port, because for some reason, as we all know, that doesn't seem to be standardized between different games. But I just I'm working on these. I've got all the initial pre-orders are now filled, and I'm now working on the second group of pre-orders, and that group is still open. If anyone is interested, of course, they can go to right over there, CoCoMan.biz. Again, great little sign. My brother Ken made it from Ken Make It, or is it Ken's CoCo Corner? One of those places, or maybe both. So just wanted to update everybody on that. That's proceeding. And then just a little update in the Coleco Atom. For those who don't know, the Coleco Atom, been playing around with that a bit, and here's the thing, the most infamous thing that most people probably know if they're familiar with the Atom is to run the Atom, the printer is the power supply. I have this huge printer, and you have to drag that around for the power supply. And again, I'm going to be using this for gaming, and I don't need to print, and I'm going to have this huge printer laying around here. So what I obtained, it's actually from Jameco. I purchased it via Amazon, is this switching power supply by this company called Meanwell. And I actually saw a video on, there's a cat here, wants attention now. Of course, yes, as I'm talking, I must be talking to you, right, Kitty? So has some nice screw terminals and all the voltages, because it's actually dual voltage. You need 5 volts and 12 volts, plus and negative. And so I was watching a video on YouTube that fellow that actually built this directly into the Atom. And the life of me right now, I can't remember. Oh, what was it? Retro System Rescue is the channel on YouTube. Whole video about that. I'm going to try that. I think I may just try this externally first, but I'm not really keen about having AC wires exposed. So I'll do it as a test, and then I'll go for the internal build. It's a lot smaller than it looked in the picture, so this is going to fit really nicely. There's a lot of extra room in the Atom for this. I'm guessing they didn't put a power supply in it because it was just, a cost issue. And of course, okay, here he is. Here's Rocky.
Hey, Rocky.
He's wanting attention. So here he is. There you go. Now, are you ready for your close-up? Okay, Mr. Rocky. There you go.
It's been a while since we've had a Coco cat on the show, so that's good.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay, the check's in the mail, Rocky. I'll give you extra wet food later.
I think the idea was the linear power supply would hold the printer in place on your desktop by its sheer weight.
It is pretty darn heavy.
It's what's known as a gravity mount.
Gravity mount, absolutely. And last but not least, again,
Ooh.
Oh yes. Ooh. Last but not least, wiring up all those wires and toggle switches. And this is actually something I forgot from last week. I got this last week, forgot to show it off. But I use a lot of heat shrink tubing, specifically 2 millimeters. I think that's like 11/64. Well, the place I usually get it from, they were on vacation. So I just, over the holidays when I needed more, and I found another source, and I went ahead and bought this. This is out of frame. This is 200 meters.
Ooh.
Of 2 millimeter heat shrink tape. Now 200 meters, that is like 656 feet of this 2 millimeter or 11/64 of an inch heat shrink tubing.
You're good.
About for the price I was paying for about 100 feet of it. So yeah, I guess it's all about the economies of scale.
Yeah.
But this is what I use the most, and that's the most heat shrink tubing I've ever bought. So
Don't leave it inside a sunny window.
No. That would be bad. But so that'll help, because this is pretty much used in most CoCoMan.biz products.
All right, another shameful plug there.
Shameful plug right there. Yes.
Shame on you for all your
that's
shameful
where you get
plugs.
Well, and that CoCo 3 video solution that I won't mention the name of, but you can find out.
But you can find out about it on CoCoMan.biz.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hey, how much is that switchy thing?
Which
the high res?
The high res?
Yeah.
The high res is right now it's $55 plus shipping. That is the special introductory pre-order price.
Okay.
Yeah.
55 plus shipping, and the shipping happens to be $495, but that's okay.
No, it's not. It's I'm not making any money on shipping. Any shipping charges I charge are for the actual postage, and a lot of people don't realize mailing materials, boxes, and packing.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Not free either.
Not cheap. No. But you
So
pass the savings.
That's all going towards the off. That's all that the shipping charges all go towards offsetting the cost of shipping. And there's no money being made on that.
There you go.
They're shipped from Australia.
No, not from Australia. They're Australian-inspired products.
Yes.
They're shipped here from the United States.
Does anybody else have an? Brian, raising his hand.
I'm going to pack a lunch, everybody. I hope everyone's comfortable. This is probably going to take a while.
No, I might be reaching out to you, Jason, on that power supply, because that looks like the one that I was looking at to install into a Dragon that I don't have a power supply for, because it does have the -12, which is nice. So
you might want to talk to David Ladd. I think he did something, or he was working on it, but it is a Meanwell RQ50B as in boy.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
I would check with David. I think he was working on a similar project.
Very good. Thank you. A couple of things here I'd like to show. One is a small group of that I bid on eBay there, and one item in particular. But here's the other items that were in with the group. Before I show the main thing that I was really interested in, though, but in there was a June 1984 rainbow on tape.
Oh.
And the little insert there.
Nice. Nowhere near as nice as a Dragon tape, but still, that's pretty nice.
Pretty nice there.
Yeah.
And then one of these tapes that we all think are kind of cool looking there.
The deluxe certified computer cassette. Yep. Look at that. It's certified. Do you actually have the certificate of certification that accompanies that?
No, it is actually missing that.
Yeah, I believe that certification just means it's certified. It costs more.
Yeah, certified. It says certified right on the box.
And then just one of the good old standards there.
Yes, certified.
The C20 there. Also in the box was a if you're trying to analyze your music, there is our good old audio
Yes.
spectrum analyzer,
Cool.
with unfortunately a slightly damaged manual where it got razor bladed off or something. I'm not sure what
Ouch.
happened there, but anyway. And then, of course, what everybody needs in their collection there, because it would not be complete, would be a boxed
Color file. Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
there. And then the main thing that this is what I was bidding on. I looked at the picture, and I kept on looking at it. I actually messaged the seller 3 times, and they never once replied back to me because I was asking for pictures, but without showing the front. Does anybody recognize this?
It is
Digitizer.
a tin connecting.
DS69.
Yep, nope. Ron for the win there. So it did not have a label on it, but there was a hole on the front of it, and I thought I recognized it. I actually made this label myself. I took a scanned image.
Digisector.
Yep.
Now, did you clearly mark that label as a reproduction?
No, I did not.
Oh, shame on you.
But,
how do you know it's not a B?
The difference is the position of the hole. This one here is this one the B one, the hole's off to the side. So the position of the hole's in a different spot between the one and the B. So
that's really cool. It's a very authentic looking label.
The thing that's kind of surprising is that these things usually sell. I've seen these things bid on eBay for $150, $175.
Does it work?
I haven't fully tested it yet. No, that's what I need to find out. So, but the good thing about it is that this little group I only paid $22 for all of that.
Wow.
So that was, and I wanted to message back the seller and say, do you know what you actually had on this listing there? But oh well.
Probably not the best thing to do.
No, I won't let them know. And then a book that I picked up, and it does feature the color computer in it. It's one of those that has all the different brands, but it's just basic programming for kids. I like the cover. That's why I picked this one up. I
like that too. Yeah, it's in really good shape too. It's very shiny.
Yep, very shiny. The binding's not creased or anything.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
Yep.
Pristine.
So, and then a couple different magazines. I don't have the whole issues, but I just single issues of some of these. One that I had not seen before. It's called Basic Computing for the TRS-80 User Journal, and it covers all the different, the Model 100, the 2, 3, 4, even the color computer. This one happens to have an article in here for the color computer, but I just picked up this one issue. I thought it was kind of interesting. I hadn't seen this one, but kind of an interesting one. I was going to read through that one a little bit. And then one called the Micro, the 6502 and 6809 Journal.
Interesting.
That was one. Curtis, if you had seen that one before, maybe before.
I've heard of it. I've never actually seen one before, but
yeah. So I picked up a copy of that. And then one that's kind
the
of
68
cool.
Micro Journal was a popular one starting late 70s.
70s? Okay.
Did a lot of technical stuff in the CoCo when it first was released.
Family Computing, that was a magazine, but they had this one that it was kind of a separate issue of just 10 starter programs from Family Computing. So it just has a couple different, 10 different programs in there. So that was kind of just one I picked up as well. And then the last thing I'd like to show, I had never seen this before. I've been Googling, trying to find information. I've only found one reference to it, but it was this here that was out on eBay. I don't know if anybody saw that listed on eBay.
Level 4
Level
products?
5 Productions.
Level 5, okay, sorry. Oh, level
Oops, yeah, level 4 products.
yeah.
Level
they
4,
advertised
sorry.
in Rainbow. I remember that.
Yeah, I
If
like
you remember, because I did a search on the Rainbow or the Rainbow magazine on the archive.org, and I could not find any. I couldn't find any reference. I'll have to go look some more and see if I could, because the only thing I could find was they talked about the company there in Michigan. They're around. Well, it was almost 42 years ago, and they dissolved the company back in 1996. But basically, this is just a really super nice case, aluminum case.
Yeah.
But all that's in here is a Radio Shack 3022 controller. In there. Here, I have all the screws out but one. Let me pull this one last screw out.
So were they reselling that, or did somebody just replace the board? Maybe they lost the original board. Was this originally like its own third-party disc controller, or?
It seems to be. I mean, it's mounted in here really nice. It's on some standoffs and everything, but It even says that the Tandy Corporation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's coming into focus there or not, but it is just a 3022 controller inside this. So I don't know if that's what they did. They were reselling these, or they had a surplus of these boards, and they put a nice
Nice case,
cover,
yeah.
nice cover case on it, and whoops.
That's a real nice case, yeah.
So
Yeah, a metal case, and they trimmed the pots and got the alignment straight and said, "Here you go. It's a nice controller now."
there you go. So yeah, so I thought that one was kind of interesting there. Picked that one up the other day as well. So.
Quite the haul there.
Yeah. That's all I have to share today.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have an update, acquisition, or anything they want to share? Anyone? Okay. Well, then I have two things. One of them is just a kind of pre-announcement. The other one is something I can show. So the pre-announcement is the Cocoa Pi image is getting updated. There's going to be a new one for the Pi 3 and the Pi 4, and the Pi 4 image will also work on the Pi 400. So there's some updates, there's some things added, there's a few things that are enhanced, and I'm in the process of testing some of those, and they'll be available to the public very soon. And so what was noted before was that Ron Klein had tested his Cocoa Pi 4 image on his Pi 400. For those who don't know, the Pi 400 is like a Raspberry Pi with a built-in keyboard. Kind of looks like a Commodore 128. It's like a white, wide keyboard with a Raspberry Pi built into it. And so that's the latest Raspberry Pi thing that's a lot of people in retro hobbies are kind of drooling over. And Ron Klein's image worked on that device, but the image that we have on the website did not. And the main difference is that Ron does his operating system updates. So he was always updating the Raspbian operating system, and those updates fixed whatever the keyboard drivers and USB driver problems were from the old image. So the new image will be already updated to be forward compatible with the Pi 400 device. And there's other things on there, like it's going to have Beta 6 already on there that you can just pull and install. Some of the features that we had added in the June release were not quite working, but the ability to auto update Raspberry Pi and the ability, because that was kind of the challenge, is that every 6 months, once a year, there'd be a new image. You'd have to reburn the image to get the latest version of Pi. So we're trying to do kind of like an auto update feature. That feature was implemented and kind of sort of worked, but also kind of didn't work because of all the stuff behind the scenes, what the scripts were trying to do and what they were trying to talk to. They were just kind of losing their trust to each other. So Ron Klein's been working behind the scenes. So the new version will already have the latest version of Raspbian that will be compatible with Pi 400 and Pi 4. It will allow you to automatically update the Raspberry Pi system when future updates come out, so you don't have to keep reburning it. And it also, we were fixing the ability to auto update MAME because that was not working either. So as new MAME releases come out, you can just go to the utility menu, hit update MAME, and it'll download and update MAME. And then you can also go from utility menu and select which version of MAME you want to run. Because sometimes we got to go back for certain reasons, for compatibility reasons or stability reasons. So you'll always be able to have the latest version of MAME and selectively go back to a different version. So these features were all implemented, but had various degrees of effectiveness depending on who was trying it and how they were trying it. So all of those things will be fixed. There will be some more surprises too that we will wait for the official announcement, but just know that a lot of work being done by Ron Klein has been happening, and I am testing a lot of that too. Another concern was the size of the image and the size of the SD card that you needed to burn the image to. I know a few people were complaining about needing a 32 gig card, or I had a 32 gig card and it wouldn't expand to the 32 gig card. So there was a handful of questions and concerns about that. So the image has been uber compacted where the actual file is only about 5 gigabytes for the download, and it will extract to as small as a 16 gigabyte SD card, but it's strongly suggested you have at least a 32, and if you're going for the Pi 4, go for a 64. And I already hear people saying, well, why do I need 64 gigabytes to emulate an 8-bit system? And the reason why is there's just a shit ton of stuff you can download and add to it. You can download the entire Ultimate SDC image. You can download YADOS, which doesn't take a lot of space, but you can download latest ease of use beta. You can download Ron Klein's hard drive drive that's got 3,000 disk images you can run from Yados. There's just so much stuff you can add to this that it ends up taking more space. Like when I tried to add the ultimate SDC image to the 16 gig SD card, I ran out of space. So I did test that it would burn to it and it would extend to a 16 gig. I got Nitrous 9 installed, I got Yados installed, and as soon as I tried to add that third repository, I ran out of space on a 16 gig freaking SD card. So do I need more? Yes, you need more. And it's not a lot of money. And if the price of the SD card is your complaint, then the CoCoPi is not the solution for you. And, you know, find one that you don't have to complain about. But this is an incredible project, and there's a ton of stuff going into it. And I'm really excited about sharing a new update with you guys in the very, very, very near future. And so the website for that is coco-pi.com. And we've got a channel on Discord for it, somewhere between the cassette channel and the David Ladd channel, somewhere in there, right? So there's a CoCoPi Discord channel too. So that is an announcement. Now let me show you my acquisition. And so I'm using a different camera right now, which does not autofocus, and not that like you need to see me clearly, but I want to show off my acquisition. But I actually got this last week. It arrived right as you guys were going off the air. But this is Creating Adventure Games on Your Computer by Master Gamesman, and the author is, I can't read it right now, Tim Hartnell. So this is basically how to create a text adventure game in BASIC. And this came out in like 1983. It's cross-platform. It's designed to work on any Microsoft type BASIC. So it'll work on the Commodores and the Ataris and the AppleSofts and obviously the CoCos. So it's simplified, kind of universal basic commands for creating a text adventure, which is my next project that I am working on. I am working on a text adventure-ish type game that will not initially be on the CoCo, but will eventually be on the CoCo. I'm actually writing it in QB64, so you can run it on a modern PC. It'll run on Windows, it'll run on the Mac OS, it'll run on Linux, and surprise, surprise, it's also going to run on the CoCoPi. So it's going to look like an MS-DOS type game, so it's still going to be a very 80s style looking game, and it's going to be based on the coding techniques I'm learning from this book from 1983, so it's going to be very much retro-infused project, but it will be playable on modern systems without the need for an emulator or anything else like that. And then it'll eventually be ported to Nitrous 9 and things like that too, because it's going to be written in BASIC. So this is the book I'm going to be using for my current project that I will be hopefully working on more in the near future when I don't have to deal with a few other things that are going on right now. So that concludes my update.
This is like the original game engine.
Exactly. And I remember reading a book a long time ago, years ago, because I in my dumb brain, I would have made it an adventure like 10, print, you're in this room, input this, and then 20 go to 40 that you're in this room. If I type west, then go to line 500. I would have had no clue on how to structure this. And then I read a book that kind of broke it down into data statements and, making it more logical. And I had actually written a text adventure that I was running on my bulletin board at the time that people could play online, and it had ANSI graphics and color and all kinds of stuff. So I had done one back in the late 80s, early 90s, but of course I've completely forgotten it all. So I figure it's going to be a retro style game. I want to base it on retro type game logic and then expand upon that as I learn it and tweak it and add to it and stuff like that. So it'll be a never ending work in progress. Yeah, I like what you're pointing there too. Yeah.
I will mention George Murr used to do articles in Rainbow. He also did some commercial products for the CoCo back in the day too, and he had a really good adventure. It was called AdvMaker. He did in the August 1982 Rainbow that has a skeletal structure and shows you how to do the data statements and all that kind of stuff too. So that's another resource if you don't have the book that Stevie has for doing that kind of thing.
And this book is available on an archive. I think it was on the Atari. One of the Atari archives is actually where I found the book. So I've got the online version, but I really want this version because I wish I kept saying I'm going to buy this so I can keep it with me in the car. So if I'm waiting somewhere for something, I can just sit down and read, right? And the other day I was getting an oil change, and of course I didn't have it with me. It would have been the perfect time to sit down and read while I'm waiting on my oil change, So this will be with me. I don't like reading websites. I don't like reading electronic documents. I don't know why. Even though, yeah, I could have it up on my monitor here while I'm doing stuff over here. For some reason, certain reading, I just like to read it on paper because I don't know why. I'm old, yes, I get it, but to me, this is my preference and how I like to do.
It's part of the nostalgia too, I think, because I'm the same way.
And I think this was about $35, so it wasn't terribly cheap, but it's in really good condition. And I actually, the first place I looked, which is where you'd expect to find this, was eBay. And there were people on eBay that were asking like $900 freaking dollars for this book. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So of all places, I found it on Amazon for like $35 from some book reseller. And I got it in like less than a week. It wasn't Prime or anything, but for maybe $40 with shipping. It's really good. It's it's clean. It's in good shape, and so I'm happy to have it. So, boom. Listen, I'm no Brian Wieseler when it comes to the book collection. Okay, so.
Well, just remember, Stevie. It's like don't get too stressed up by the reading. Just sound out the big words.
Yeah, sound out the big words. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to update or share or anything else? Anyone?
I'll share just for a quick second.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Delvaux is going to share.
All right.
I will stop sharing just to make sure you can share.
All right.
Like your shirt there, Ron.
Hey. Welcome to Ron's Garage.
Hold on. It's not showed up yet. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Open it up.
Oh, there we go. Radio Shack color computer. Well, I like that, Ron. I like that.
What would be cool is to have somebody make a program that sound and speech pack could and his lips moving.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would.
His arms jerking around.
Yeah. That wouldn't be too hard to do.
That's all.
Oh, did you say you had a video on there too of that printer you had, or is that going to take too long to find?
Yeah, but that's on another.
Okay.
On my other machine. I'd have to search for it.
Okay.
But you can find it. It's online.
Okay, Ron's Garage.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you,
Stevie, Ron. If you didn't notice, Jim Ra had a comment in the stream.
Outhouse reading?
Yeah, Outhouse reading for the book. That was good. And timely.
Yes. Okay. So we have a new and updated outro, which we're going to play, and then we'll be back for final thoughts. But there was... Listen, in the history of CoCo talk shows, and there haven't been a lot, but in the history of CoCo talk shows, I could probably say we are one of the first CoCo talk shows where we've had a gender transition. So I had to correct the outro to now thank Danny O'Connor, amongst other people as well. So enjoy, and I have also updated the slideshow because we've accumulated much more pictures. As a matter of fact, I had so many pictures, it's got to run really fast. But enjoy this new and improved outro, and then we'll be back for final thoughts. This concludes another episode of CoCo Talk, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. For all things CoCo Talk, visit us on the web at CoCoTALK.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, visit the Patreon link on our site, CoCoTalk.live. CoCo Talk would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, D. Bruce Moore, Nick Marotta, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reighard, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Tom C., Rob Inman, Mark Bosley, Brian Joyce, Ken Reichert, Danny O'Connor, Brian Wieseler, Terry Steggy, Nick Marotta, Alan Murphy, Rick Hewlin, Grant Leedy, Samuel Gimes, and many more, especially to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and to James Diffendaffer for making my head explode. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its sponsors. A list of various resources and contributors are available on our website at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The original CoCo Talk theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCo Talk theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever! The first Kookaburra cable at VCF Midwest.
Yeah, he came up to me and said, "Hey, aren't you the switcheroo guy?" I'm like, "I've been recognized.
Yes.
Please."
That was the first Kookaburra sale, right? Was that your splitter
Yeah,
table?
and he was the second Kookaburra.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't remember his name right now, but he was on our virtual
Yeah, he
Coco
was on
Fest
here.
too, and he did the Dungeons of Daggerath online.
Yeah,
that you can
So
play like that
Jason-
idiot from the book. Yeah, so
Jason is a Z-list celebrity. How does it feel?
I think it's more like
It's-
triple Z.
Now, Mr. Canadian, it's Z-list. Hello.
I was translating for Jason. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, you know.
I'm easily confused.
Oh, yeah.
Real-time translation provided by Nick Marotta.
That's right.
I was concerned when you said there was going to be more pictures and they were going to be shorter, that I was going to be short on screen time. But
No,
I see you
there's
just
no-
added more pictures of me to
That's it, just to make up for
to
that.
compensate.
Yes,
so
yes,
there's going to be no issue with my contract.
It's in your writer. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you even have one of my mullet shots in there, so
Yeah.
thanks a lot for that.
So, as always, I
I'm
want
so
to
dreamy.
thank the panel. I really appreciate you guys for doing this show. It makes my week. It literally does, because listen, even before COVID, real life is sometimes stressful. So it's nice to have that safe place, that happy place you can go to maybe once a week for a couple of hours and just have fun. And so I want to thank you guys for, number one, being a fun group of people to hang out with, but also for just really providing a really quality show, especially because when I'm not on the show is even better. So the show is nothing about me. It is about us, and you guys do a hell of a job. You make for an amazing show. Thank you, Mark Bosley, for always being there to stream for us, and all the content we get from everybody, all these incredible Samuel Gimes clips and our theme songs. I mean, it's such the collaboration. It does my heart well. And obviously our audience who's here, who watches every week, this is why we do it. We do it for the community. We do it for the audience. We do it because we like it, but other people like it too. It's become a tradition. People are here and are dedicating their Saturday to share this time with us. And we appreciate you and everybody in the live chat, like Jim Rye and Sloopy and AC's 8-Bit Zone and Ken Reighard and David Lord and all kinds of people out here. DeBruce Moore was out there. Kevin Holloway, and so on and so forth. And listen, it's a hobby. We're doing this for fun, but we try to take things seriously too. We're trying to pay respect to the systems and the platforms and the people, and just have fun while we're doing it. So thank you all for being here. God bless you all. CoCo forever. Parting thoughts. Anybody want to say anything? Anyone? Just yell it out.
Push the button, Frank.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.
All right.